Our first order of business is to approve the minutes from May. Did anyone have any changes to make?
I did not.
No.
We have a motion for approval of the minutes.
I will
I'll
make a
Go ahead.
motion to approve the minutes of May.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Who seconded that? Was it Bruce?
Bruce.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. Okay.
All right, the first COA application is COA 20-41 Edenland Signs at 124 North 3rd.
That's correct.
Willie, do you want to go ahead and kind of start talking about that one for us?
Where is Willie?
Haven't heard him yet.
I think he was on earlier, but I don't see him now.
Riche, what do you want to do?
Well, we could, I can text him and kind of see if he is available at this point. Let me do that real quick.
Or do you want to just move forward until he gets back on?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's go
Okay.
ahead and skip those two.
COA, that's also Edenland Signs. So we'll move on to 20-43. James and Marie Washburn request to paint the building at 114 East Stephen Foster Avenue.
And we are here.
Oh, good.
So
Go ahead, yeah, talk to us a little bit about what you're wanting to do.
the house is in need of a paint job. We think that a fresh look would be great for the place. We think that we don't see any evidence that the current color is accurate to the house in any way. Any pictures that we see of the house are lighter colors. So obviously either the house was like a white or a paler color of some sort. So that's kind of where we have landed with that color choice. It also seems to fit with Terry's house next door, Terry Gohagen's office next door. It's really, really close to that color. So yeah, that's kind of how we landed on that.
The color of their trim.
The trim, yeah, obviously, yeah.
Okay. These all look perfectly appropriate to me. Do we have any dissenters or any comments?
I'm throwing this up here real quick. I know that the scanner does really weird things to kind of paint. So these are the actual colors that are proposed. I know it reverses it, but you can kind of get an idea. The doors are actually dark chocolate brown. So
Kind of a creamy color with a white trim, whitish trim, and dark brown doors.
you got it.
Okay.
Do we have a motion?
I will make the motion to approve COA-20-43. The paint colors are consistent with the paint standards set forth in Section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Do we have a second?
I will second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Thank you,
Okay.
guys.
20-46, Greg Ashworth.
I'm here.
Landscape- We've got two here, landscaping and storm doors.
Yes.
46 is landscaping. You want to tell us about it a little bit, sir?
Yes, I've got about 50 feet of landscaping in front of my house that I want to put that concrete trim around. You know, that poured concrete trim. It'll be a cobblestone pattern, and it's going to be a dark gray. And it's just right there in front of the house.
And Greg, how tall is the curbing?
I don't know. I think it's just like 2 or 3 inches. It's not very tall at all.
Okay,
Mm-mm.
okay.
It's just like, Pat, it's just like the one across the street. Rick McKay's across the street. Same thing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And this is something we're okay. With Roche, other people have used this.
Yeah, we have done this before, and it has been approved in other places in the historic district.
Okay,
Sounds good.
Good.
sounds good. We have a motion for COA 20-46. Need to back up my-
I'll make the motion to recommend approval of COA 20-46. The landscaping is consistent with the standards set forth in section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Uh,
All right, moving on to COA 20-47. Same house, same person. Applicant proposes to install storm doors on the front and back.
Yeah, I have a front door entrance and a back door entrance, and I want to put just a black storm door on each one.
Greg, I had one question. The picture of the Larson door
Yeah,
attached has a bar across the center.
yeah.
Is that because, explain that for me.
So that bar, that window on the top,
Yes,
goes down, and that top window becomes a screen. So
okay,
that bar is there to make that possible. I don't know how they do it, but that top becomes a screen,
okay,
and the rest of the time it's glass.
okay.
And I was particularly okay with this, discussing this, as far as I know, it should be a full door. That's what the guidelines specifically say, but having one line so he can have, basically a breezeway,
Fresh air.
and having airflow throughout his house is not something that I would go against.
My question, and I'm looking for it, is the color okay, or is it supposed to match the front door?
My front door is currently black, so the
Oh.
storm door would be black as well.
Well, that would work just fine then.
Good
Never
answer.
mind.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions?
No.
All right, do we have a motion for COA 20-47?
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of COA 20-47. My motion is based on the following findings. The storm door is consistent with the door standards set forth in section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Second,
Second. Second.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Is Josh on?
No,
He's still not on? Okay,
but
thanks.
Harold was on for 2044.
Okay. And I'm
Uh,
texting Willie, you guys, he is trying to get on, but he's not being able to right now. So yeah, let's go ahead and keep just kind of moving on.
All right, COA 20-44, Mr. Wimsett, install a new roof at 105 Old Bloomfield Pike.
Hey, Mr. Winsett, do you want to go ahead and just tell us a little bit about the roof and kind of, what you're wanting to do there, please?
Well, it's simply, the roof is beginning to be an age that it's going to need to be replaced. It's not leaking or anything, but when I purchased the building back in 2006, I met with David Hall. He came down, we did a complete renovation at that time. And even though I probably didn't do anything official, he knew that whenever I did change the shingles, we were changing our colors. We put black shutters on the building. We put a black awning over the kitchen door. And whenever I replaced the shingles, my intention was to change from brown to black. Our company colors, of course, are black and gold. So the brick's brown. We did change the garnishing gutters at that time to a clay to tie it all together. So, I am, getting very close to needing to replace the roof with a new one. And I'd like to go ahead and change to the black when I do that.
Okay, are there any other questions?
No. Mm-mm.
Do we have a motion for COA 20-44?
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of COA 20-44. my motion's based on the findings that the roof is consistent with the roofing standards set forth in section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Review Manual.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, and the next is to add a deck.
What I'm wanting to-
He's proposing Trex material for the floor. I'm under the impression that if it's visible from the street, it has to be wood.
Okay,
I drove by the site. It's really away from the road. It's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's not visible from the street at all, except I guess there's a chance during the winter when the leaves are down. If you're coming off the hill from the old courthouse toward McDonald's, if you look real hard to your left, you might catch a glimpse of it through the trees. When the leaves are on, you know, certainly it's completely concealed.
And the deck actually hangs over the hill, correct, Mr. Wimsett? We've kind of talked about that, but essentially the
Right.
deck projects over to the side. And so you're saying that during, well, basically, except for the winter season, it would not be visible.
No, it will be completely concealed. You'd have to drive around and look behind the building to see it when the leaves are on. And of course, it's never been there, so I'm not positive you can see it through the trees, but I'm suspecting that you can because I can catch a glimpse of that retaining wall through the trees, and it will, you know, it will go out over a retaining wall.
So let me ask you this, Rashay, is Trex not an approved building material for new construction?
Well, so it is not usually from, it depends on the visibility is actually the key factor. So if it's visible, we have not allowed that to occur. So if a porch was screened in, for instance, and it was completely invisible from the street, then we have allowed things to be tracked because it's hidden. But if it is visible, we've basically said no. So this would be something hard to consider.
Is this just the flooring or is this all the parts?
Well, it's not all the parts. Of course, the post and the floor joist and all that's treated lumber. The deck, the floor would be, I propose the floor to be Trex, and I propose the railing to be Trex just because it would all match. And it's kind of I'm proposing that it be it's called a Western cedar color. It's almost a reddish brown that looks good with my brick. You know, I've got a piece of it here. I don't know how good the color would come through, you know, on this video, but certainly, and I took pictures of it and sent them to Rashay, but again, I don't know how well that color carried through. Certainly you can't tell the difference. You'd have to try to drive a nail in it to be able to tell the difference.
I think the color was really good, actually.
Yeah.
So I think it does actually do it justice.
Yeah.
So you can take a look at that, you guys, and kind of determine how you want to handle that. It is not a historic building. It was built circa 2002. So that's something to consider. So just kind of talk that over and voice your opinions.
I am comfortable with the Trex material for the decking. I'm fine with that.
And I'm comfortable because the location is so out of the way that I think Trex would be fine.
I am comfortable based on the distance from the road, but also because this building was built in 2002.
Right.
Were this building older, it would be very different.
Yes, that's true.
I agree with that.
That seems like consensus.
Okay,
All right.
great.
Do we have a motion for COA 20-45?
I'll make
Sorry,
them.
dog. We're getting a bark collar tomorrow.
I will make the motion to recommend approval of COA 20-45. The deck is consistent with the deck and new construction standards set forth in section 4 and 5 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Congratulations, Mr. Wimsett. You have actually got your Trex. So happy day for you, my friend. So
Okay.
you're good. You can log off to the meeting now. You don't have to stay for the rest of it because
I'll try to figure out how to do that. I'm asking my secretary.
You've got me, Rashay, you've got me next, but did you want to move me to the end?
It's up to you, Beth. It really doesn't matter.
We might as well
I'll-
move you to the end.
Yeah, I'd rather just
Yeah.
go with.
Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna pull you out.
So Demir, COA, or is Willie here?
He is driving to work currently to try to get internet connection, so he is still not on here that I
Okay.
can tell.
Okay, so COA 20-50.
One. Yeah, 50
Demir.
is-
Let's see, let me get in there.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
The
Request to paint the
Hey,
rear
Demir.
Okay. Hi, guys.
Okay.
of the building at 118 North Third.
And
Has it been painted previously?
yeah,
Yes, yes, it's like a green color currently.
I haven't painted it. I have no idea.
But it's painted brick currently. It's
I
not.
painted concrete blocks.
Okay, concrete blocks.
Yes.
Concrete blocks. Yeah. Page 9 in the COA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's concrete blocks. It's painted green. It doesn't look like it's been thoroughly painted. A lot of other colors coming through. There's certainly uneven.
yeah.
Demir, there's a bunch of samples here. Do you have, which ones you prefer? Is it the New Hope Gray and the iced slate?
So my first two choices were New Hope Gray. That's number 1, and then number 2 and 3 are Ice Slate and Laguna Blue.
So, the iguana blue is really kind of actually, it's a little bright. And I know that's not coming through in the actual screen there, but it's a pretty bright color. However, the New Hope Gray and the Ice Slate are very appropriate.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm perfectly okay with the first two.
Were you going to paint it all one color
Yes, ma'am.
here? Okay. Okay. Yes, the gray is beautiful. And
Do we have a motion? And I have to run and put my dog up.
That's okay.
Barking
I'll
up.
make a motion to
So we'll have
recommend.
to, wait, we have to pause it, Bruce,
Okay,
until she gets back, okay? So just hold
It'll
on.
just take a second.
Hey, Demir,
Yes, ma'am.
what about the, that Champion Cobalt? Was that a color that you liked? I'm just curious. I just saw the sample on there. It's kind of an,
I have a copy. I have a copy of the samples, and they definitely don't look like your originals. Roche, can you show them, because they
Yeah.
definitely don't look right.
Yeah, so, you want the
Which
Champion Cobalt? Is that what you're wanting?
I just wanted to see it, that
Yeah,
it's a dark navy.
It
Yeah.
essentially is the dark navy blue.
Okay. Can you show us the New Hope Gray?
Oh, yeah. So this one at the very end is the New Hope Gray. Let me.
All right,
I
my
like-
apologies.
I like that blue too. I just felt it might be a little bit too dark, but I love it. I have, a lot of dark blue areas and, Primo. Just felt like it was a little bit too dark for that.
Okay, I was just curious.
So we're looking, here's the first two, the New Hope Gray and the Ice Slate. So I'm showing those two. And then let me show you the Champion Cobalt
I mean, I love Champion.
Yeah, it is really dark. Yeah, yeah,
versus, you can kind
Right.
of see.
yeah. Okay.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of COA 20-50. The paint colors are consistent with the paint standards set forth in Section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Review Manual.
But I want to specify that with the condition that it would either be New Hope Gray or Ice Slate.
Yes.
Yep.
Great. Yes.
Second,
I'll second.
Thank you,
all in
Bruce.
favor?
Aye.
All right. 20-52 is a request to rebuild the windows.
Skipping.
Oh,
50.
wait, we've got to do 51, which is the oven.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
My apologies. Okay, this is the request to install a brick oven.
Demir, you want to talk a little bit about the oven, please?
Sure. To remind everybody, we already talked about this, and seems like everybody was in agreement that it's fine. I just need you give you additional information, specs on the oven, the location and all that, which at that time I really didn't know. So a Sanborn map of 1891 shows that oven was sitting on that property next to a bakery structure. So it seems like it was sitting next to a bakery structure in between Xavier's and Primo. So it has been there in 1891 for sure. I have submitted the drawings as well as the specs, and since our meeting, I spoke to the fire marshal and I spoke to the city inspector. I explained them the application, the reasoning, and gave them the specs, and both of them are okay with that. There's no issues on fire marshal side and city inspector side. So I completed that since the last meeting. The drawings that I've given to you guys are as you stand right in front of it. So after reading the COA, it seems that there is concern about some visibility, and the oven is about 150 feet away from the public walkway. It's under the deck in a very, very corner next to the Mary Merlot building. I don't think this is, I haven't submitted this because I didn't know you would need it. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so this is Xavier's.
Mm-hmm.
This is the patio,
Mhm.
and then here's Primo. And this is the Peacock.
Yeah.
Proposed location is in this very corner. So next to it is a Mary Merlot building, completely shielding it. So we have right here, this area, the straight shot is over 150 feet. Mary Merlot is about 33 feet long, and I have 9 6-inch posts that are in the way, that are holding the deck. And we have that 4 and 5 foot railing over here. So this is the proposed location. I haven't got a chance to submit. I didn't know that was.
I am very proud of you, Demir. I am sincerely proud of you. That is an excellent drawing to indicate that you requested that.
Thank you. I
So-
just wish I gave it to you earlier.
It's okay. It's okay.
No.
There's no way to know everything you have to consider. So that's very good. So you all can kind of see that visibility and what we're talking about there. My question is, with the heat, Demir, is that going to affect your top patio or the neighboring structures in any way? And will it be shielded under that deck with like a wall that basically protects it from pedestrians?
Okay, so let's go back to the drawing that I gave you guys with my COA application.
Yes.
So
Got it.
this,
Page 12. Mhm.
so it's right next to the wall. It's next to the wall, and it will not take more than 4 square feet of my deck space. And my deck is 20 by 60.
Okay.
So it's not gonna be anywhere near the customers. That will be, for safety reasons, trust me, I will shield that from the customers. Obviously, that question was brought up to me by a city inspector and by the fire marshal. You know, I wouldn't risk such a thing. There is a a wall, partition wall that I'm proposing about 4 foot high, separating
Mhm.
the oven and the workers area. As far as the deck above, two double wall chimney
Mhm.
would go right along the building through the deck above the building to dissipate the heat. So double wall chimneys or even triple wall chimney, it will definitely address that concern. And if there's any additional concerns about safety, you can bet your money that I will not risk anybody hurting themselves and coming after me on that silly thing.
And then I have another question. Will that chimney be attached to the building?
It's not, I didn't think I was going to, other than maybe at the very top, so it's not wobbly.
Okay, you can use brackets, but I wouldn't attach it directly to the building. So that would be my one request to it because it's not original. You can put the chimney in front of it and attach brackets between that to adhere to that chimney to keep it and basically have it more structured than what it's going to be and then not wobbly. So
Yeah.
that would be my recommendation on that. I don't want to attach a chimney to a building that didn't have it. But we can allow you to install that
Just
if
bracket.
that's happening.
Yeah, just bracket. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it would be not in brick, it would be attached in mortar.
Right. When Jameer, when you fasten your brackets to the building, make sure the screws go into the mortar or the Tapcons, whatever kind of attachment you
Well,
use.
okay, for whatever it's worth, that is a cinder block that is
Okay.
going against
That's
it.
right.
It's not going, it's going against a cinder block.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's okay.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
okay
fine.
with that on in cinder block.
Yeah, I don't care about that either.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm good.
As long as it's not in the brick.
Yep.
Okay.
We're okay. So which of the options, so he's got option 1 and option 2 we need to discuss there. If you guys want to take a look at that to determine which one you want and to make sure that you're okay with the not the visibility, but the design of the oven and what he's proposing. So go right ahead, you guys.
I just had one question, is how far away is it from the door that comes out the back of the restaurant to the patio?
How far away it is going to be? The oven would be 16 feet.
Okay, great,
Okay.
great.
I like the first one that looks a little bit more solid than the second two specs that look like the base is just kind of hanging out there. Is that what other people see?
It's the same oven. It's just two different locations of the oven. Is it gonna be all the way to the right, or is gonna be alternate with this working station a little bit to the left?
I'm looking at
The spec sheets. It's
spec
the same.
sheets.
It's the same thing. It's just showing the view without the
Brick.
base. Yeah, so that's the same thing. The
But
options.
the brick will be part of it or whatever that is, right?
There are two ways to mount the oven on. Is buying the metal. It's might be a cast iron a base, so it's a black metal base, and the other option is me building a base out of cinder block.
Oh, there are different ones. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is a cinder block that is my responsibility to build, and the next page is showing their stand, which they supply with the oven. It's not flimsy. They supply it.
I'm really not comfortable even picking one. I don't know enough about the options, and just seeing the spec sheet only, I don't think gives me enough information. I think they're all okay. That's my opinion.
So one thing about buying the manufacturer recommended item, is liability.
You can never go wrong going that route. I agree. And it probably has the warranty.
Correct. And you will never be able, you can't see that because
Mhm.
that's standing behind the small partition. Small partition, you can't see that.
What will the partition be made of?
Most likely framed wood, and then the finish would be wood that would be stained and polyurethane, just earthy colors.
Is that okay, Rashay?
That's okay, yeah. I like her.
Earthy
I-
colors.
My other question is, I see this drawing and it has workstations. Are those things we need to, that would have to be approved?
So Demir, what the workstations, about how big are those total?
So the table is about 4 feet. It's about 4 feet. That's about.
And-
Are they like stainless steel work tables, or are they wooden, or?
The
Are they
initial,
permanent?
the initial thought would be a restaurant grade stainless steel, again behind the partition.
Okay,
Behind the partition, so none of that is visible to anybody standing in front of it.
I just know that any outdoor furniture has to also be approved, so I just want to address that
True.
yeah.
Mhm.
while we're looking at all this stuff.
Would
Well,
stainless steel be appropriate? Because I think with this application, with it being a restaurant, it probably would be the best product, right? For the restaurant,
Well, and
It would
for
be-
working outside with food.
Yeah.
right? Okay, so everybody's okay with that? If he,
we are. I am, as long as that it is actually behind the partition, like Demir said. So that needs to be something definitely specified, that it will be hidden behind the partition so that we can't see it.
Yeah. The one thing I could look into would be the top made out of granite.
Ooh.
well, I'll tell you what, can we have Demir's staff approve with you, Rashay, on the additional details for this space, since he's
Yeah.
still kind of working towards that? Would that be
Yeah.
okay? Okay,
That's perfect. Fine.
okay, cool. So we're approving the pizza oven. I'm sorry, the bread
And-
oven,
The
That
bread.
we're approving
bread
the-
oven. Sorry.
Oh,
The
God,
bread,
yes,
but
red oven.
the
Ah,
base will be staff approved. One
Yeah,
base is made of what kind it is that okay, Rashay?
That's perfectly fine.
And the workstation materials or whatever, however they're made of, those can also be
Mhm.
staff approved.
Yeah.
Okay,
Handle that.
Okay.
is there anything else we need? Oh, the partition,
Yep.
Yes.
Is wood stained an earthy color and polyurethane, right?
Yes, that was
Okay.
good.
but the exact details of it will be submitted to Rashay
Will
for,
be staff approved, yeah. Yeah, so even that partition, Demir, if you don't care, just kind of give Rashay that stain color, because we can't go too dark in the district.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, cool. All right, is there anything else?
I don't think so. Do we have a motion?
Well, hold on real quick. I know, Demir, you wanted you have option 1 and 2. We hadn't really discussed that. But I mean, I'm comfortable with both options. I don't know, I think however it lays out best for you, Demir, for,
The footprint is the same.
yeah, I think that's just up to you. That's fine.
Other board members, are you okay with that? Does anyone have any issue with either one of those working?
No,
I don't.
I mean, I think if it's cinder block, it needs to be something attractive, like split face or
Yeah.
something. If it's the manufacturers, I just think the block material would have to be approved.
They will be hidden behind partition. Even if it's a cinder block, they will be hidden behind partition.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be confusing. I wasn't talking about the base. So there's
Oh.
option 1, it's a yellow piece of paper, and option 2, it's the
Oh, the
layout.
layout.
The layout is that's what I'm referring to. I'm comfortable with both layouts. Whatever
Yes.
works best for Demir for the business and for your setup. That's what I was referring to. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm okay with that as well.
Okay.
I would say whichever one keeps it further from
The site.
exterior walls.
Okay. I will make the motion to recommend approval of COA 20-51. Based on the following findings, that the fireplace, okay, installation is consistent with the outdoor dining and site design standards set forth in section 4. And this is under the condition that the workstations, the base of the oven, and the wood partition is staff approved by Riche.
Second,
Second that. I second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Thank you, guys.
Okay, and the next
Thank
is COA
52.
20-52 to rebuild the windows.
So a little backstory, Demir, can I jump in here with this one? So we have a fun history with this one. So essentially, they were proposed to be replaced with gel wood windows, which we can't allow. So the guidelines, if they are deteriorated beyond repair, they would need to be rebuilt exactly the way that they are. And so he is actually, Demir has contacted a wonderful gentleman from the Kentucky Heritage Council named Fred Armour, correct, Demir? Is that
Yes.
his name?
Yes.
And he worked under the SHPO, the State Historic Preservation Officer, for 5 years. I got to speak with him directly. He's done some CAD drawings on how to rebuild the windows exactly as they are. There is some stipulations that I'm requiring based on what I have seen with the pictures to keep them as 100% true to what they are. So number 1 is that it will have a blind stop and the top sash will be fixed, which is the current design of those windows. There are no pulleys. These windows are older than the design of pulleys. They have been modified, not necessarily correctly, but they're very old. So the sashes will be rebuilt to have a frame also that will allow it. The frame was there. It is deteriorated and completely rotted off on the windows. There's pictures where you can kind of determine pieces of it, but for the most part, the frame is gone. And so I am perfectly okay with what has been proposed. This is because the windows are deteriorated beyond repair. The muttons they're literally non-existent.
Right. Nothing
So
there.
there's nothing left to repair. So it's not something that we can go in and save parts of. And I want to be very clear about that because, a lot of people always want to replace their windows. We get requests for that all the time, but there's very rare circumstances that we can't allow it to be replaced, but we can allow them to be custom rebuilt exactly the way that they are if they're deteriorated beyond repair. That's what the guidelines state. And so the board, I want you to consider that, evaluate that. I know you all have been thinking about it for as soon as you got these applications, but look at what's there and determine if you feel that it meets that criteria. And specifically, I'm going to pull this out and reference that. Replace severely deteriorated historic and character-defining windows with windows that have the same visual appearance. So they have to match the historic materials, sash dimension, mutton configuration, reveal depths, glass to frame ratios, glazing patterns, frame dimensions, trim profiles, and decorative features. And so what I'm asking is that besides the frame being added back, which has rotted, and the blind stop being added, that it be rebuilt exactly as they are. And it will be painted the Bohemian black color, which is also in the application.
I think if the window repair person, who is very good, feels that there's anything that can be salvaged, then yay. But if he does not, then them being rebuilt is fine with me.
So he is going to be able to save some portions of it. And he is going to do that, but I do know most of the sashes will have to be rebuilt. It will be case by case as he removes those windows. So there will be some original components that are left, but most of the sashes will have to be rebuilt.
Okay.
You can
I
tell
mean,
that.
someone who is a window expert for historic windows, I feel like that they would be able to make the correct call on these things better than I can looking at these photos.
Yes.
Does anybody else feel differently or?
No, this sounds good. They're in very bad condition.
Mhm.
They're sad.
Right.
I'll be honest, Amir, I haven't seen windows. I've seen very few windows that are worse than yours. So
Yeah.
worse, but I haven't seen many. So these are pretty bad.
Well, do we have any other questions?
Oh wait, Demir, did you want to say something?
I was
Go right
gonna
ahead.
say, obviously, has been, neglect for many years before I acquired the property, and I've been trying to make it to improve the property. So without knowing what my options are, that's why we talked about what we talked about past. So since then, I've been looking. I found this gentleman. You spoke to him. He's been doing this for about 50 years now, and you know his history in the Heritage Council. So he knows what he's talking about. He provided accurate drawings, and this will be repaired as the original.
I
Okay,
want
well,
to, I want to
Go
ask
ahead.
about, I want to ask about the glass. I know there's a lot of broken pieces of glass. So, I mean, I know you can't take that glass and probably go back to build the entire, sets of windows. But I would just ask that whenever you do remove these windows, if you could maybe donate the glass to someone that could maybe use it for other restoration projects. I know like Frank, like for little windows, right? That you could maybe use this glass where it's not a 9-pane, 18-pane, full window, but you could use it for smaller
I certainly
windows.
can do
Or-
that, especially because these are not wavy glass. So
Oh,
they're not wavy glass.
Hmm.
So I can certainly do that. Friend,
and he might not want them if it's not wavy glass. So
we can
that's
have them.
kind of what I was getting at. But
Tuesday,
You ask for
Yeah.
them, you can have them. They're not wavy
Yeah.
glass. They're not wavy glass.
should the glass be reused or should it be new glass?
No, it can be new glass at this point because there is actually something I'd like to point out too. On page 16, there is a metal weather stripping, very minute and very difficult to see, but it's actually there. That was probably done in the 60s. And so they have modified the windows extensively as well. Now they're still old. I mean, they're really old. But they have been modified and you can see, basically there's some Bondo type material that is also on the corner on page 17. It's just not good. So they have been modified with things that are not true to being historic. And so definitely one of those, I assume, is they replace the wavy glass at some point.
okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Do we have a motion? for
Oh.
COA?
Real quick, I just want to verify, Demir, just for the record, the mutton configuration and the SAS configuration are going to be absolutely replicated with this, minus the blind stop and the frame. That's the only two things we're changing on that, correct?
That's correct. I talked to him about muttons, and on the bottom, you can see the drawing of the muttons. It's in the application. I think the second drawing. We talked about that for a bit, and if I remember him saying there were 3 profiles that were typically used, and I have one of those profiles, and he's got the drawings and machinery to do all that exactly. And one of the suggestions I made, I was gonna give him, some of the loose things just to keep it as a sample as he is working or building, so he has actual piece in his hand, so he can verify against his work. So it'll be exactly as what's there and what it was originally.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, do we have a motion for COA 20-52?
Okay, I will try this. I make a motion to recommend approval of COA 20-52 based on the finding that the window replacement is consistent with window standards set forth in Section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Review Manual. These windows will be done with the historic person constructing them to replicate what is truly original to the building.
Excellent, Pat.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you, Demir.
Thank you, Demir.
Thank you, guys. Now I have to figure out where I'm gonna get all this money. It's very expensive.
Yes,
We know it is, Demir. We know.
hang in there.
All right, thank you. Have a good
Thanks.
one.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Demir.
All right, COA 20-53, I guess.
Wait, we are gonna hold off on that one for a second. I think Willie's on here, guys.
Okay,
Do we have a Willie? Let's see if we can.
No Willie.
Dang. Well, all right, guys, then can we go ahead and just take care of his real quick, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and take care of those, and I'm gonna message him to kind of let him be free. You know what I mean? Because he's drove everywhere trying to get there. So if you could go ahead and put those,
Start with 41.
so 20-41. That's the bullet.
The sign is such an unusual size. Does it conform, Rashay, to the total square feet parameter?
if you don't mind. Let's see. Are we so we're talking about 40, we're talking about 41.
41.
This is
And-
124.
And it's page 7, shows the sign and dimensions.
Yeah, so I have a huge problem with this one, to be quite honest.
I was gonna say it's way up high. It's completely
Yes.
out of place for every other building in the downtown area.
Yeah, and I agree with
I mean,
that.
the sign's
and-
pretty, but
It is, and
not
we've
not
approved it.
there.
Yeah, so we've approved the sign before. It was at the previous location. He's wanting to move it, but I'm not at all comfortable with that location whatsoever. It doesn't meet our criteria, and quite frankly, it can't go there. So
I think I'm
That's
here.
what-
Am I here?
yeah,
Oh, there's
Willie!
Willie.
Oh,
All
really?
right. All right.
I'm so happy. Okay,
You found us. Very good.
okay, Willie, we're actually on 20-41, and I just stated that I am not comfortable at all whatsoever with the location
Help
of
get him
that
where he
sign.
needs to be.
So if anyone would like to chime in or ask
Or am
questions.
I? Can we approve the sign but not the location, or is the sign already approved?
No, we would have to do it. So I would like to go ahead and, if you would like to, this was how I would like to consider it. If you would like to approve the sign, the only location I'm comfortable with is in complete linear fashion with the rest of downtown, not above, not below. I want it to be in that row because that's the whole streetscape of 3rd Street. And I don't want to disrupt that. And it would look very bad if we did. So if we would like to approve it, it could be with the condition that the location will be completely in line with the other signs and not be above or below. And as accurately as I want that put in the condition, I want it very clear that it will be placed in that manner and it will not disrupt the linear fashion of the signs on 3rd Street.
I concur.
And Willie, this is the same size, right?
I
This is
agree
the
with that.
exact size.
Yeah.
Yeah, same sign that was already there. And I agree
Yeah, so
that needs to be brought
size-
down.
Yeah, okay. That's the only way I would be comfortable with the application moving forward.
So are we gonna
Okay.
make it a motion for approval with that condition?
Yep, we
Good.
can do that.
Okay, do we have a motion for COA 20-41?
I will make the motion to approve COA 20-41 with the following condition. the sign is approved. However, the location shown on the application is not approved. It needs to be in line with the existing signs so that there's, so the streetscape of downtown area remains the same.
And good. Will, you understand what we're saying with that, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, good.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Uh,
Aye.
Excellent.
All right, and then moving on to COA 20-42, it's also Willie, request to install a sign at 226 North 3rd.
Willie, I like that this sign is a creamy off-white. I appreciate that.
Will, you
Oh,
want to
okay.
talk about that one a little bit?
I don't know if he can hear us.
Oh no, did we lose him again?
Willie?
Oh, man.
Okay, well, we're gonna go ahead and do this one.
Yeah.
And let's just go ahead and let's go ahead and have the initiative and get this taken care of.
Okay.
So yeah, board, do you have any questions about this that I can address for you? I also prefer the creamy white.
Okay, so it's, what square footage do we got here?
So the building frontage is 400 square feet. And so basically it's at like 3% of the facade of that building, which is way underneath standards. So it meets those requirements.
It's way under, okay.
Yeah, we're safe on that.
I mean, it's a lovely sign. Do we have any other questions?
No.
We have a motion for COA 20-42.
Rashay, what's the maximum square footage for that sign?
So it would be 7%.
Oh, okay, okay, that'd be 7% of the,
Yeah, facade, which is 400 square feet.
okay, okay. I thought like whenever, like, okay, so signs we've approved before, I thought there was like an overall maximum, like it was 6 or 8.
Well,
12.
we have approved up to 12. And
Okay.
some are like a little bit bigger depending on where they're located for visibility, but that's about what that's at. And the square footage of this one is what? Someone double check me on that one.
It's 10.5 square feet.
10.5 square feet. Yeah, that meets our criteria.
Okay. Because there's just been a few signs that we've approved downtown that I think were a little too big, but I need to
I
do
agree.
some more.
And I
Yeah.
definitely want to keep it under that. I don't want to go any more than, you know, usually I'll be really honest, we go from about, it's 6 to 8, you know, square feet.
Yeah. Mhm.
And he's right at 10. If you want that to be a little bit smaller, you can request that.
I'm just trying to think. There's one we did lately, and I can't recall which one it was, but it was pretty large in comparison to the signs on either side of it, and
Yeah.
it looked out of place. So I guess I need to consider.
It's smaller than that one. I know the one you're talking about.
Oh, there you are, Willie.
And I agree with you. And I know there's two of them together there that I wish were a
Yeah.
little smaller. And I did one
Okay.
of them, but
Okay.
the other one I didn't. I know which one.
You know what I'm talking about then?
Yeah, I
Okay,
do,
yeah,
yeah.
so this one is a little bit, this one's smaller than the big
Smaller,
ones?
yeah,
Okay,
Yes.
we need to do, Willie, you might, if you don't care, you might tell Rashay how big that one that's too big is, so that we can keep that in mind for future. Yeah,
Okay.
it would just be
I
nice to
will.
know. Yeah, thank you so much.
All right.
I agree. I know exactly what you're talking about. The square footage of that one is too large. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're below half of that one from that sign, aren't we, with this one? Right, Willie? The square footage of that sign this one's about half of that, correct?
Half of the big one? Or what?
No,
No, it would
it's
be,
probably what, 12 square feet, the other one?
the other one's pushing the limits probably on the border. Yeah, it's pushing the limits. So, but this one's going to be a little smaller, and it's going to be more appropriate to the building, where those two are it's just a little narrow
Mhm.
face, and then you got big signs on just a narrow little
Yeah,
narrow opening, I guess you would say.
okay, I like the sign. Is it two-sided, I assume?
Yes, and it
Okay.
is cream. I lost you there for a minute, but it is
That's-
cream.
I said that I liked that.
Yeah, I
Thanks,
know.
Bill.
Lisa did that.
Yeah, thank you, Willie.
All
Okay,
right.
All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of COA 20-42. My motion is based on the following findings. The sign is consistent with the sign standards set forth in section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. You're free, Willie. I'm so sorry you had so much trouble.
My fault. See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Willie.
All right. Thank you all.
All right, so Summer, you'll be recusing yourself, the
Well,
ones you're presenting.
yeah, yes, I will be.
Well, hold on. Do we have Dr. Blackman here?
No.
We do not, and I have tried to contact him and I have not been able to contact him. If any of you all would like to message him, please do.
Because can we hold off on this one and see? Because I'm not comfortable sitting in on this one.
Ooh.
So yeah, if Dr. Blackman doesn't show up, unfortunately, we're gonna have to table all of those, Summer, so.
Well, I'm not, but Bruce, we're not buying anything from Busick Lumber.
Well, here's the thing. You're one of our top 5 buyers from our store. So it kind of puts me in a buy. I'm just trying to be consistent with everybody else I deal with when it comes to.
Bruce, can I just, this is
customers of our
David
store.
Mandel, guys. Sorry, there's one aspect to the approval here related to the temporary sign, construction sign that is time sensitive, and we can talk a little bit about that. But I certainly, Bruce, I understand, concerns. If we could potentially just address that one piece, Summer, if that would be okay with everyone.
Yeah, that's the only one really that we need an answer. We need to discuss now. The other ones could potentially wait till next meeting, to be honest. But this one is very time sensitive.
So if Bruce is recusing himself, so that's done. So if Summer, if you have to recuse yourself, so we don't have quorum, we can't address it. So unfortunately,
Well,
so
I think he was asking if Bruce could not recuse himself from that.
Right.
Oh,
That's
Yeah.
what I was thinking. For this piece, for the temporary sign, if Bruce, you'd feel comfortable addressing that, because it is, maybe it's.
Yeah, I mean, I being time sensitive, I think I could probably handle that.
okay. Okay.
Yeah,
let's
I
do-
mean, and keep in mind, Bruce, this isn't, I know that Busick Construction is the builder, but this is really for this particular application is for the owners in the production of the brewery more than it is for Busick's. So, okay, I'll let you go ahead, David.
Which number is that, by the way? It's signed.
20-56.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me start off
All right.
because it needs to, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. So one of the main requirements is that the signs have to comply with all of the Bardstown City Sign Guidelines, that's SG4. The issue that I have is that for in the city sign ordinance in chapter 98, construction signs identify persons, business, professions, or trades engaged in progress construction projects of a building on the site provided. For lots less than 2 acres, it cannot exceed 8 square feet with a maximum of 2 sign faces and 7 feet in height. And this is exceedingly larger than that. So that is my main issue with this. If you would like to have the sign approved, but have it smaller and meet that guideline, I'm comfortable with that. But I can't change the city guidelines for construction signs.
So, do you want me to proceed, Rashay?
Yeah, absolutely.
We are asking for an exception here, and under the new city sign regulations, an exception is possible, and city council can provide that exception. And we're asking for an exception because this business is an exception. It really is truly exceptional. It is a symbol of promise and of progress in an environment and an industry, and I'm talking specifically about the hospitality industry, that has been absolutely devastated by the coronavirus. And these types of transformational projects, and honestly, this is one of those types of transformational projects. And I hope that soon you will all be able to see, what is taking place out there. But this is one of those projects that is not only a catalyst but it is a game changer for the industry and for the community. And I could really only think of one project similar to this, which was the Bardstown Bourbon Company, which, as you know, I was the founder of. And I see this as a transformational project, and it's why I am so excited to be part of it. And that's why I got involved. And we're asking for an exception here for a temporary sign to not only celebrate this business, but celebrate what this business is going to mean for the community. This business, and we'll keep this, has not been announced yet, but there is a new name for this business. And it is built solely around the two founders of Bardstown, David and William Bard. The entire business, the entire brewery, from start to finish, is historic by nature. It will celebrate the founders of this great community and all aspects of it. And it's going to be a place that brings people together. We're going to be announcing very soon that at the beginning of July, and I don't want to go too far out here because we're going to be having a press conference on the 29th, that we are going to be having an event with all the proceeds going to support Bardstown Strong, which is the initiative to support small business and make sure that we are supporting small business within the community that's been affected by coronavirus. So this sign is a symbol, although temporary, of what is to come, and it's going to help us celebrate this great business. It is very much tied into that event. And so I'll just kind of stop by saying this is a $4.5 million project in downtown Bardstown. It is a brewery and restaurant that is amazingly opening in the middle of a global pandemic that has devastated this industry, and it's going forward. And we need all the help we can get. Bardstown needs all the help it can get. And this is temporary. You can see through it. It's consistent with what you see in construction signs. There has not been another project like this in town. It isn't precedent. I think when you look at what, when you have another project like this, you can also decide whether or not to make an exception like this. It will be beautiful, as you can see, and it will be a great rallying cry. So with that, I ask that you guys make an exception. I would ask the same from City Council, and I'd be happy to do that.
Well, and so let me jump in there, David. So essentially too, you have to be a campus distillery. You have to have acreage requirement, which this property does not. So for it to be considered a campus master sign plan, which you all were eligible for at Bardstown Bourbon Company, this does not meet those requirements. So there is no way it can go to City Council unless we just deny the application and then you appeal to City Council, which you can absolutely do that. And if that's what you're referring to, that's totally okay.
I'd rather not do that by any means. What I really was suggesting is that you guys make an exception here. And I understand it doesn't meet the distillery campus because certainly it's not a distillery as well. But what I'm asking for is that we make an exception here to the general construction rule, because this isn't a general construction project. There hasn't been anything like this in recent memory in town, where you would even have the need to put up this type of sign. I'm not even aware that anybody has asked for it, but we are certainly asking because this is a historic moment, and it's something that is a great rallying cry for the community. And I would certainly argue that in making an exception, not only I don't think you set a precedent that would be negative, but you are really encouraging the kind of business and kind of business investments in the historic district like this that are unprecedented, and we should support them. That's just my personal feeling. And this goes a long way in doing that. Again, it's temporary.
How many square feet is this sign?
So the sign is 6 by 42, so 6 feet high, 42 feet wide. And essentially what it is doing is it's actually beautifying the construction zone in a way. So we're not even asking to cover the whole construction fence, which is consistent with what you see in lots of gorgeous architectural projects where the construction fence would, be wrapped and show what is coming. But this is really sitting just in front of the building. So you can still see into the construction site, but it is also really making that view even prettier. And you can see there, it's simple, it's clean, and that's what you'll see everything with this project.
So that's roughly around 252 square feet.
That's correct.
And so the maximum allotted size for your lot is 8 per the
That's
sign.
Now, is that because if it was gonna be attached or permanent, that this being temporary,
They can have it up for until the construction is completed.
right?
So there's no
but-
limit.
So,
What about those things we put in the windows of
Hmm.
of businesses that are closed? I can't remember who it is. That guy who puts up all the Bardstown.
The
stuff.
window clings that say coming soon.
I don't know what square footage those are. And those, that is through the county. So that's something that's different from the sign ordinance within the city. So
They're not larger than 8 square feet, I don't think.
yeah, they're not
pretty-
huge.
no.
Okay.
But again, that's not a construction site. I mean, I think what I'd like to understand is the 8 square feet. You know, at what construction level would that sign be appropriate? Like, what would you put on a sign because we just looked at a pretty small sign that's going to hang over, you know, a storefront that was 10.5 square feet. And that's pretty small. So an 8 square foot sign for a very, very large construction site seems a little out of place. So I know there's a huge difference between 8 square feet and 250 square feet. But I think that there should either be a happy medium there, depending on on the construction site, because an 8, you know, I don't know, you could get a lot across on an 8 square foot sign, right? For a site like this. And I think one of the more important things is, you know, it is very common practice in construction. And I know, you know, this is in a historic area and that's a little different, but it is very common to wrap the fence, and it's a mesh material, so it's not solid. It's a mesh material, you know, that the breeze can go through, but it makes the fence look a million times nicer. You don't have that ugly chain link fence, right? You know, the majority or half of the fence length, you're going to have this sign. It's going to look a lot better. So I just would like you all to take that into consideration, and it, you know, also it shields the view from, you know, from all the cinder blocks, right, that are stacked up. It shields you from the tools, from the dirt, you know, that are piled up. So things like that. I just like for that to be taken into consideration, please.
I agree with you, but it's difficult when you look at SG4, which says
Right.
all signs must comply with the Bardstown sign guidelines.
And so my other thing is I believe the ordinance was written in a way they wanted you to advertise the construction, you know what I'm saying? But I think they wanted to avoid major large scale advertising. I think it was written exactly the way that it's being portrayed. They didn't want giant banners throughout different areas of the city displaying that. I feel like they purposely, intently wrote this. And again, this was way before my time, way before I was here, wrote it with those kind of ideas in mind to kind of limit signs. The entire sign guidelines is to limit signs and limit the size of signs. And we are unique in our community. I'll be honest, with other cities that I've worked with, I have not seen sign regulations be quite as detailed as what they are here. So given that kind of information and what we have, I think that what you're trying to do is exactly what the sign ordinance was written to avoid. Does that make sense? I know it's not what you want, but I'm trying to explain like.
When was the last time we had a construction project of this magnitude in downtown Bardstown in the historic district? And I'm not challenging, I'm actually asking the question. I was not able to find one.
In size comparison, 5-star.
What I'm talking about in terms of kind of investment, you know, that we're talking about, you know, a nearly $5 million facility here.
Yeah, so I don't know monetarily. That's not something that's normally reported to me, but I do know as far as size comparison, 5-star was the most recent that's been done.
Did they ask for any such sign?
No. And they did not have any advertisement on their fence.
But they didn't ask for it, right?
No.
Okay.
But they also talked to me about the guidelines and I told them what the requirements were.
Does anybody else have any questions? Sorry, the sun is right in my face.
There is for lots greater than 2 acres in size, it allows you to have 32 square feet, 2 sign faces no more than 7 feet in height.
Could that equate to 64 square feet? If there's, when it says 2 sign faces, is that like 2
No,
signs?
No,
that are
so it
30
means 32 per side. So 32 square feet, you know what I'm saying? So double faced.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So
My
that-
question is, if he separated the coming soon part from the scout and scholar part and reduced the size by something, if the coming soon did not have the website underneath it, or maybe, I don't know if that's okay. Could that be something that's feasible? I mean, obviously it'd still have to be smaller, but if just the scout and scholar part was the sign, could the coming soon sign be considered as something separate?
we've never done that before.
Okay, I'm just
Yeah,
looking
I know.
for.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've never done that before. 32 square feet, you know, is something that's supposed to be for more than 2 acres. And I know this lot isn't more than 2 acres, but that could be a consensus because you want it to be shown. And it doesn't necessarily meet the guidelines. I mean, I have no wiggle room on that one, folks. I'm sorry. But you can, Lord, how do I even put that?
Make an exception to
Yeah.
allow the 32 square foot,
Yes.
something like that.
Yeah, because with everything that Mr. Mandel has stated, it's not 250 square feet, which I think we can't allow. We just can't. But I think that if you were to allow it to be around the 32 square feet, at least it's within the parameters of the sign ordinance, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, we do try and come up with ways to work with people, and I think that's the very closest by a lot that we can do.
Yep.
So,
That's the
So-
thing to think of.
and listen, of course, and I'm speaking on behalf of the business here, we fully appreciate, everything and working with us as always. And just so you know, everything that we are attempting to do in business is going to be supporting the historic nature of Bardstown. So we are right in line with you 100%. The 30, so just explain to me how this would work then. So would this be one sign that would be 32 square feet or 2 signs, just so I understand, what we're working with?
So I'm going to read it for you verbatim. So construction signs identifying the person, business, or profession engaged in in-progress construction project of a building on the site provided. Number 1, 1 sign per contractor and 1 sign per financial institution offering services. Okay. 2, for lots than less than 2 acres in size, the sign shall not exceed 8 square feet, maximum of 2 sign faces and 7 feet in height. For lots greater than 2 acres in size, such signs shall not exceed 32 square feet with a maximum 2 sign faces and 7 feet in height, and such signs shall be removed no later than 1 week after the final occupancy of the site or completion of the service, whichever is longer. That's the requirements.
So he's asking if 2 sign faces means 64 square feet.
Right.
No. Yeah, so it means, no, it means 32, the smaller on one side, 32 on the other. It's a double face.
Okay, so 32 square feet facing out.
Yeah.
We can approve,
That's the most,
and
we-
that's a big exception.
okay.
I'm sorry.
That's the most we can get then, right?
And
And
that's still not really within parameters, but it's an exception, but I
It's an
can't,
exception because of the size of the construction site that we're
Yeah.
willing to make.
yes, thank you, Beth.
he couldn't appeal to the city because it is a city
We can
ordinance.
absolutely appeal to the city, and they can override us, and we're,
Yes,
Maybe-
but we have to deny that. So if you would want to appeal, we would have to deny it. So that is also, we can't approve it and it get appealed with any conditions. So it would have, the whole application would have to be denied outright.
And could he appeal it at the next meeting, or would it have to be the next meeting even
It
further
would be
down?
like, it would be a month. They have to have so many days to give public notice in the newspaper, et cetera, et cetera. So it would be at least a month before he could appeal.
He can't appeal, we can't appeal it at next week's city council.
No. No, they have to have a minimum of it like 8 days within the newspaper. I forgot exactly what their ordinance provides, but they have to have so many days public notice, and that will not give them enough time.
So would you rather us deny it and try and go through the city, or would you rather try and do a 32 square foot sign?
I think we'll work with you. I mean, this is, it's not one we're gonna necessarily fall on our swords for. I think that-
Well, and David, if you think about it, one sign per contractor and one sign per financial institution offering services of the business, you're allowed more than one 32 square foot sign, depending on those people and the contractors. I don't know if that helps you and what you want to do.
And maybe you'll let us put like really, really tiny on the bottom of those financial institutions.
You know what? That is identifying it, so I can't tell you no on that one. I can't tell you no on that.
And
So
for the redesign,
Yes.
can we do staff approval? Riche, or is that?
yes. Oh yeah, you can absolutely do that. If he wants to bring the individual 32 square feet signs that have the tiny financial institution or something on there displaying that, I'm perfectly okay with that. I don't want 16 of these suckers on there to equal 250 square feet though. You know what I'm saying? Like one sign per entity.
That's where we were going next.
Okay. Oh God. Okay. I'm getting there. I'm starting to read you, David. So I don't want 60 of these suckers on there on the front covering the entire thing. Yeah. So one sign per contractor and one per financial institution at 32 square feet, I feel is a really good medium ground, as much as we can give.
Let's give a
Hold on.
maximum of how many of these he can have.
Hold on, I have a quick question. So I'm trying to understand this just in its entirety. So one sign per contractor, and this really has nothing to do with what we're applying for. But so you're telling me that I have 10 contractors on the project, right? Let's just how many contractors I have. So each contractor could essentially have an 8 square foot sign on that fence, offering their services.
So that is how the ordinance is written. And we have never allowed that in the historic district because no one
Okay.
has ever taken us up on that. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think we need to have some further discussions because I don't think that would look very appropriate if,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It would
yeah.
look trashy if we
Yeah.
had, if the whole fence was lined essentially, or the sidewalk or the building with advertisements of contractors who were working on that project. So
Yeah.
I think that needs to be reconsidered in the ordinance, most definitely. And again, it may never show up again because, I don't foresee really having major construction project like this, but, we actually probably have 15 to 20 subcontractors on the project. So I'm just throwing that out there. So essentially we could do that and be within the ordinance and it would be appropriate. I'm just wanting to say what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well, I don't know necessarily the definition of contractor per subcontractor. That would be something the city attorney would have to. So if it would be one contracting company that's overseeing that and gets the sign, and not the individual. Do you see what I'm saying? The interpretation of that definition. I'm not sure how, because it's never been questioned before. But I'm sure the city attorney could kind of weigh in on that to give us some more clarification and determination on that.
Okay. Okay, so we need to determine how many signs were allowed at 32 square feet apiece.
I think 2.
That's my feelings too. The ordinance talks about the one for contractors and one for finance. And we're already going over the top with the 32 square feet, so I feel good with 2.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Is Bruce quiet? Bruce is like, I'm just here to.
I'm listening. I mean, I'd love for them to be able to have that big sign. I mean, I really would. But
I would too, but we just can't.
unfortunately, what you're telling me, they don't have enough time to appeal it to the city. And the city really, to me, and being it's a city ordinance, they should be the ones that, would be able to say yay or nay on that. Like I said, I think our biggest job really is to approve signs that are gonna be permanent and the color of those signs and what size those are gonna be. You know, this situation, I kind of agree, it's kind of different, but I know they have an ordinance written for it. But I can definitely see why they would want something like that, and I think it would really look appropriate if they did it, but, you know.
Do you
I
all
know-
think, would you be okay with maybe 3? And the reason I say that is if you look at option 1, we could have an individual signs, a coming soon.
Yeah.
And then the logo, and then on the others, you know, and then the name of the business. So and like the logo might be smaller. That might not be 32 square feet, right? It might be different than the other 2 signs, but they're spaced out and they're separate signs. Do you think?
That would make it more consistent. That would be nice. It would give us, it would be able to keep a nicer look and feel towards this.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the beginning of that. What were you saying?
I was asking if you all would consider maybe 3 instead of 2, and again maybe a maximum of 32 square feet. Like if you look at option 1.
And what did David say? I'm looking.
I was saying
Okay.
it would be helpful because we could have that consistency. I apologize, the dog's going crazy. Consistency in that, you know, coming soon, Scout and Scholar, and the logo. So you can have 3 across that area, so it's nicely uniform. It's going to allow us to make a better presentation.
Pat, how do you feel about that?
I could live with that.
I could live with that, and again, this would all go through Riche.
Yes, for specifics.
I can handle that.
Good, thank you.
And how are we going to state this so that this exception is fits into our rules?
Yeah.
Are we gonna, I guess we need to mention that this is a larger than typical construction site in the district, and that is why we are making this exception.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that would be a good protocol to do. And stating that it is, you know, we are going with the second option where the lot size was greater than what was expected, to give, to allow that to happen with the maximum of 32 square feet allotted per that size. Does that make sense?
I don't have to say it, so.
Yeah.
Good
Okay.
luck. Do we have a motion?
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's try this.
Good job, Pat.
I make a motion that I can read this first. I make a motion to recommend approval of COA 2056 with the following conditions. Though the signs are not consistent with the standards set forth in Section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Review Manual, based upon the fact of the extra large lot size and the enormity of the project, it has been determined that it is acceptable for 32 square foot signage up to 3 in number be approved for this motion.
And any changes go to
Can
Riche.
be staff approved by Riche.
But I will not allow more than that. Yay. Okay.
I will second.
Excellent.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carries 3-0. I think we're gonna, it's up to you, Summer, and it's up to you, David, if you want to hang out for the rest of this time. But Dr. Blackman is not, has not let me know that he would not, and I'm not hearing anything back from the communication I've sent. So I think we may have to table you guys for the rest of them until the next meeting.
Let me just look real quick and just verify there's nothing else. The lights, I can wait on,
I can send Fred up the street
Right.
back on the door.
right? Okay, it's fine. We have a lot of COAs anyway, so maybe next month there won't be so many, but yeah, everything else can wait. That's fine. Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
Thank you all very much for your flexibility, for your consideration. It's going to be a wonderful project.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
David,
Thanks so much.
Okay. All right, now this is, I'm trying to figure out what we have left. So we have Beth, we have you, right?
Correct. The Deacons and the
And then
Mattingly.
Bruce, you are going to recuse yourself from Mr. and Mrs. Mattingly's project as well, correct?
Sorry, that's correct.
Okay, that's correct. Are you okay with Mr. Deaton's project?
Yeah, yes, I can handle that.
Okay, all right. Mr. and Mrs. Mattingly, I am terribly sorry. Well, wait, Summer, that will allow you to, we would still have quorum with Summer,
Yeah,
won't we?
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Good.
'cause she's
Okay, we're
back.
good. Never mind, we're good. Okay,
we're
excellent.
good.
So we've got quorum for everything else that we need then.
Yes.
Good.
But
Okay,
we
perfect.
need Bruce for, we need Bruce for mine.
Right,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll
Bruce, just hang tight.
just hang
I'll be
tight. Bruce.
here.
Okay,
I'll be here.
Everybody hang tight.
Okay, so are we tabling? I've lost my place. 53, 54, 55, and 57.
Yes.
yes, we need to, I need someone to make a
And
motion.
make a motion.
I'll make a motion that the COAs 53 through 55, 57 be tabled for the next meeting.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, so now we are moving on to COA 20-58. Mr. Mike and Amy Deaton. This is a request to build a new garage at 108 West Broadway.
Now, he was here at 6.
I'm here.
Oh,
Okay.
good. There he is.
Hold on. Okay, so let's go ahead and kick that off with his first one, which is 20-58. Am I correct, folks?
Yes.
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 Go right ahead. Mr. Deaton, if you want to go ahead and explain that project to us a little bit.
We're going to add, we would propose to add the size of a 2-car garage plus a little storage area, with one side being a carport, and then the side closest to Miss Lucy would be an enclosed garage with storage area to it. The materials would all be the exact materials that were approved for use on the house, as well as the color.
Okay. Excellent. The site plan has been approved by Janet Planning and Zoning. Mr. Deaton, I do have a question. The privacy fence that you all applied for, it was just a wood privacy fence with a dog ear at the top, the little angles on the side. That was like 2 years ago, right?
Yes.
Are you planning on putting that up?
Due to in light of the circumstances that have come up with the acquisition of the property,
Mayor's Park?
having spoken with a couple of those city council members, hopefully we can come up with something that would be a living boundary there and not
Good.
good for them, or I wouldn't like that either, feel like I was in prison.
Yeah.
Okay, that was my question, because I had talked to the mayor today and asked if there was any specific plans for the park. He said there's not right now. So I
Right.
couldn't even negotiate that at this point because the mayor's park has not been designed for its expansion. So I
Right.
tried to handle that today for you.
Mhm.
But like I said, unfortunately, there's nothing we can work with. The living is solution. We'll still keep the fence as an option, God forbid, right? You've got it approved. It's fine.
Well, yeah, but, I'm 99.9%,
9%.
but I would not want to do that. And when we come back and can revisit that with the city, then there would be something, some kind of greenery that would create that boundary and some privacy for us for the back living area, since it's become, it's like the mosquitoes around here. It's a magnet, and we draw folks and mosquitoes to that back porch.
Got it, Mr. Deaton. Yeah.
You need a bigger zapper light.
Well, my idea of a zapper wouldn't have anything to do with a light.
Let's not go there.
Nope, we can't do that. So understood, but we can't do that one, unfortunately. Okay. So if you guys see the site plan, it's actually linear versus, well, it's wider with the lot versus being angular. If you take a look at the placement of that and where it's going to be located, it's a one-story garage, correct, Mr. Deaton?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Does anyone, you all can continue to discuss it. I just wanted to point.
The
two things.
height is similar to the addition on the house at the back.
Yeah. Yes, it would be similar to what was put on the back of the house. Yes, ma'am.
And what kind of siding are we looking at?
That's party board. It's what we put on the addition on the back.
And that'll be in a separate application. This one is the general design and the site
Okay.
location height of that garage.
Okay, thank you, Rashay.
You're welcome. This one is just for basically the overall height and placement of it. And then we go into detail. The next one is foundation, for instance. We'll go into the detail of all of that.
So it looks like this garage addition doesn't extrude past the lines of the existing historic home. And I think that the height is appropriate.
I would agree.
And the site plan has been approved by Janet Planning and Zoning.
Okay. All right.
Good.
That's correct, right, Mr. Deaton?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
So I would like, I'm sorry. Anybody else have anything?
No, I agree.
I would
Yeah.
like to make the motion to recommend approval of COA 20-58. The new construction of the proposed garage is consistent with the new construction standards set forth in section 5 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
I second that motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Excellent.
Okay, moving on to COA 20-59.
Good. This one is the foundation, which is the same foundation that was used for the addition.
Yes.
And
Yeah. That's
Yes.
pretty.
What is that exactly?
Can you talk so you show up again, Rashay?
oh yeah, sorry, I apologize. So
Can you show the picture again?
absolutely, hold on one second. I apologize, guys. Here we go. There we go.
Nice.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Deaton, do you want to specify what kind of foundation that is for the board?
That's a slab foundation, and then that's a textured block that we put on the addition back, so it will match what we have already on the house.
That's pretty. I haven't seen anything like that before
No.
with block. I like that a lot.
I think if we were one of the top 5 buyers out at Busick's, what we could do with.
Right? You would think I would know, right? All the materials that are out there. I should be well versed in the block textures.
Oh, goodness.
We don't sell block.
That's true. That's true. That's
Yeah.
funny.
Don't sell it. Thank you, Bruce. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about that one?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I'll make a motion. Well, hold on a second. I got a truck going by. I make a motion to recommend approval of COA 20-59. My motion is based on the following findings. The new construction of the proposed garage foundation is consistent with the new construction standards set forth in section 5 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
You have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. Okay.
All right, COA 20-60.
Is the siding?
I'm in like the worst possible location. with my porch.
Siding is a hardy plank siding. It would have to be smooth side facing out. Of course, that's what the requirements require, and it is already on the addition. He does have historic aluminum siding. I would just ask, of course, that it be the same dimensions as the addition, which match the house.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that all
Okay.
sounds good.
Are there any other questions?
It'll be painted the same color as the house, correct, Mr. Deaton?
Yes, ma'am. Color
Yep.
scheme out there as we have on the house.
Yeah, and that's in a later one. The paint is one of those too. Yeah, so
I know that we're past this, but I'm curious about why it's so far in from the alley.
Actually, it's not, it won't be, but about, how many? It's 30 feet, I think is what it has to be on the offset there.
I mean, it's showing as 67 feet, so I
Well,
was just curious.
oh, we asked for the 30 foot on the, when I went down to the courthouse, we told them, she said I had to be 30 feet. And I said, well, then that's where I'm going to go is 30 feet on the, yeah, I don't want it all the way back down. I'd like to have some yard there.
that's
Yeah,
actually her.
Yeah, in the drawing, it's right smack dab in the middle of your backyard, so.
It's not to scale.
This is just, it's to a scale.
I mean, it's not to what's currently planned.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, do we have any other questions on the siding? Sorry to go off subject. Do we have a motion for COA 20-60?
I will make the motion to recommend approval of COA 20-60. The new construction of the proposed garage siding is consistent with the new construction standards set forth in section 5 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual. And it's approved under the following conditions: that the hardy plank siding is installed smooth side out and that the dimensions are the same as the existing home.
Thank
I'll
you.
second that motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, now moving on to garage, to the doors.
Gutters.
20
Wait, gutters.
One is gutters.
Oh, I'm sorry, I keep checking off the wrong thing. Thank you, 61. So what is proposed?
Ugh. Are these standard square gutters or are they round gutters?
Mr. Deaton. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
they're
Do you
the
want
square.
to talk?
Yeah, that's the same gutter that was put on the house. It's the square. It's not the rounded.
Okay. And that's fine.
Yeah.
I guess the color of the gutter is the same.
Yes, it'll match the, we painted the, with, on the house.
Okay. That's easy.
Yeah.
And the material will be
They're aluminum.
Aluminum.
Uh-huh.
Okay. All righty, do we have any other questions?
No, ma'am.
Do we have a motion for COA 20-61?
I can make a motion to recommend approval of COA 20-61. My motion is based on the findings that the new construction of the proposed garage gutters are consistent with the new construction standards set forth in section 5 of the Bardstown Historic Review Manual.
We have a
I'll
second.
second. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, now 20-62, garage at the doors, excuse me.
Okay.
So this is for the garage door and the regular doors proposed. Those are attached to that application.
I didn't see where there was a garage door,
Mhm.
because it was a 2-car carport. And then with
Yeah.
those double doors, I just don't understand where the,
Hold on. Can you see me, Beth, on that one side?
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, but I
Yeah.
didn't see it in plan.
In the plan, okay, so in the drawings on page 17, it's there. The garage door is. Oh, wait, are you talking about the actual door in the application?
Yeah, that's a double door. Is it a double or a single door?
It would be a single.
Okay. And it's going to look like what we show in the application, but a single with the transom at the top.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, page 12.
Beth, does that answer your question? Did you see it?
And
I mean, in the plan, there's just these two double doors. On page 13.
Yeah,
So I'm trying to figure out where those would be. I mean, this has all of the elevations.
off the alley.
So if you continue to page
17.
Yeah, 14 and 15, it shows it in greater detail. There is the front door on the carport on page 15, and on page, let's see, 16, it shows a door on the side, and page 17 shows the garage door location.
Yes, there would be a solid door gaining entrance to the garage from the carport. That would be the solid door. And then the door with the half glass would be coming off back toward the house across that yard.
I guess my question is it a two car, like is
No, it's a single car garage with a carport. So that's a single door. That's just the style that it will be that you're looking
okay,
at.
well, what is
picture.
showing on page 13 is not that. So that is where my confusion is.
It's that door just in a single door rather than a double door.
And you would have to drive underneath the carport to get to the door. Is that correct? Somewhat? Am I looking at that wrong?
Well, coming off of the alley, you can pull into the carport. And then that door would be, actually, that garage door faces the church back there. Nobody, I mean, honestly, there won't be, I don't know how many people would ever actually see that door, but we wanted the windows at the top of it in order to try to allow some light.
Got it.
I think that
Okay.
garage door is an appropriate design. Do you guys?
You do or you don't?
I do.
Okay.
Yes,
I
Okay,
feel that this design is appropriate for the garage
Okay.
doors.
okay, great.
that works.
And what material are the smaller doors going to be, Mr. D?
They'll be steel.
Deal.
Yeah. Huh?
It's new construction, so
Yep.
that's different from historic concepts.
Yep.
Okay.
Is that, are we okay with that regulation wise? Is it okay with the half glass? I guess that's fine.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
It's just a different look.
It is. It is.
Okay. Are there any more questions? Do we have a motion for COA 20-62?
I will make the motion to recommend approval of COA 20-62. The new construction of the proposed garage doors and man doors are consistent with the new construction standards set forth in section 5 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
I
We
will
have a
second
second. All in favor?
that.
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent.
All right, and 20-63.
Those are the paint
Oh,
colors. Mhm. Yeah, and I'm gonna hold those up for you guys again too. You can kind of see the off-white and the tan. That, and then let me see.
The darker color was just the eaves on the house. So it's
Yes.
just the two lighter
It-
ones.
It's in a black background. I apologize, but that's how I could find it. There.
Where will that be on the garage?
The doors will be the darker color to match what we have in the house. And then you trim on the windows, but there aren't any.
Yeah. So the dark is for the doors.
So that it
Okay,
would match.
the trim is light and the pale green is the siding.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I always notice your house because I think it's pretty,
Well, thank
Me
you.
too. I do too.
especially compared to the picture that's in your COA.
Yeah.
A lot has happened since that picture has been taken.
Let's not
Yeah.
even go.
All right. Do we have a motion for COA 20-63 or any more questions? My apologies.
Good job, Beth.
No more questions? All right, let's have a motion, please.
Get to
I'll
the-
make, go ahead, Bruce.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of COA 20-63. My motion is based on the following findings. The new construction of the proposed garage paint colors are consistent with the new construction standards set forth in section 5 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, and on to 64, request to build the columns.
Okay, so Mr. Deaton, I wanted to clarify, the posts are not gonna look like what the diagram shows. They're gonna be the round columns that match your house in the addition, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Especially the one on the back porch. It
Yeah.
will match the one that's on the back porch so that there's uniformity back there with that.
Yes, we want them to be the full column.
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am. From the ground up.
Not a pedestal.
Yeah, he's got the pedestals on the front porch. We want it to be the full column as on the addition on the back.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Good.
And the little wooden decorative piece
Negative.
we need to address.
You're not doing that?
No,
Nope. It's gonna be the columns.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, Summer's sad. Summer's like, okay.
Okay, I mean, there's nothing else on the home where it would match that. So, but I do think that they're pretty.
well, what I'd like to do though, of course, with your permission, Summer, is put up a windscreen around the property there. Not a sign, it's a windscreen.
Well, as long as it's
Then you should ask for a windscreen of a sign.
a windscreen.
That's what you put on it. That's what you put.
So you could maybe it should be a roller shade. You could roller shade it down on your carport. So you could
Yeah.
have privacy, but
Yeah.
also could see through it at the same
Right.
time.
You were
Check
gonna
out Bruce's porch.
Maybe come back next month with that application, Mike.
Yeah. Okay.
Woo.
So are they round or square? I should look at the plan.
Round,
They're round.
round.
Okay. Do we have any other questions?
No.
No.
Do we have a motion for COA 20-64?
I make the motion to recommend the approval of COA 20-64. My motion is based on the following findings: that the new construction of the proposed garage porch area is consistent with new construction standards set forth in section 5 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Yay.
All right. 65 is the roof.
Two more.
That will be the same shingle put on our house. We'll use the same shingle on the garage.
Yes, and I am going to, the proposed roof, that is that right there, if everyone could see that.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Pulling that out.
So this is easy. Any questions?
Yeah. No.
I'm gonna make the motion to approve COA 20-65. The new construction of the proposed garage roof is consistent with the new construction standards set forth in section 5 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
I will
Second.
second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Landscaping, COA 20-66.
Okay, Mr. Deaton, can you explain where the patio is going to go?
Yes,
Ah.
ma'am.
Please.
It will come off the back of the back porch toward the alley back there, not toward the park. And it will come off the back and it will be sort of it's not necessarily a semicircle because it's gonna
A
have some,
lima bean. A lima bean.
yeah. And it will be a paver. We'll level it, put the sand down, then put the pavers in on that. And go off the back part of the patio onto the back part of the back porch onto that patio.
Will it reach all the way to the new garage?
No, ma'am. I've run out of money way before that.
Okay. So this is just a patio for the home.
Yes.
Okay. Okay,
Is this a COA for the patio or for the landscaping or for
It's
both?
both. I just
Patio
Okay.
was- Yeah,
Okay,
That's all right.
the landscaping then would be kind of a privacy barrier between, not that we have anything against Miss Lucy whatsoever, but it would just create a barrier between her property and that's that space that you would see kind of next to the house and along the property line there.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you. I needed to be oriented, so that helps.
Okay, understood. Do we know what is the paver again? Did you say what it was?
Yes, ma'am. I gave to the actual name of it. I gave Rashay. It's a Oxford non-tumbled paver. Colors on that, Rashay, do you have that?
I didn't get, it wasn't in time for me to load it to the application, but I'm looking at it to see if I can screenshot it real quick, Mike, because I do have it.
Yeah, it's an ivory paver with the border being a pewter color. So it would border the entire patio in a pewter color, but the main patio itself is an ivory color.
Sounds beautiful.
Sounds nice.
How about what size is each paver? Or what shape is it? I mean, I guess I don't really have to see a picture. I'm just wanting to get an idea of what it is. It like, is it square or
kind of a square? It's kind of a square slash with a rectangle to it.
can
Okay.
you hold that up to the screen? Did you have a picture of it? in
Me?
hand?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Oh yeah, just hold it up to the screen.
Oh,
That'd be
thank
great.
you. Thank you. I'm trying to find it, Mike, and I can't find it in my email.
It's the bottom.
There we go. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that bottom one. And it has the pewter color around the border.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome. And it's gonna have a sand set.
Yes,
Okay.
It looks really nice.
thank
I
you.
agree. I like it too.
Okay, do we have any other questions?
Amen.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to recommend the approval of COA 20-66. My motion is based on the following findings: that the proposed patio and landscaping is consistent with landscaping standards set forth in Section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay,
Congratulations.
I'm
Mr.
running
Deaton.
to the restroom.
Okay, so we'll have to pause anything, but congratulations, Mr. Deaton. You're free to go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
Oh, and
you for your-
Mr. Deaton,
Yes, ma'am.
real quick, I want to say thank you for sending me that material specifically. I was still on, I was at home and I could not access your files. So the only
All
way I got the material for your application.
well.
was resend
All's
it.
well that ends well.
I
Yeah.
just realized we didn't discuss the plants. But I
Okay. She
say
has a
that-
list.
I saw and I think they all look fine, but whatever you do decide on with the tree, if you could just let Rashay know.
Oh, okay. Yes, ma'am.
Sure.
Thanks. Good catch.
I was like, we talked about the patio, not plants, but I mean, they were all fine.
Yes.
All right,
We gotta wait for Summer to get back.
okay.
So, and you wanted to put 78 prior to 67?
78.
That's how it was listed. Someplace.
Oh, I don't have that. I have to go refill my water and get an ibuprofen, so I will
Okay,
also
let's-
be right back.
Yeah. Okay, not a problem.
It's our 2-hour break.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm gonna take it too, so.
I'm gonna
be
stand.
back in a second, guys.
They're all going on break. They're all going on break now.
You don't have to do that. I'll let you come with me. I'll let you.
Tatum filling back though.
You're number 4, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to put this in the notes, Rashay, but you should have seen the dinner I made. She's not there either.
No,
Is everybody gone?
I'm still listening. Was it a good dinner?
I made gyros with homemade pitas and homemade hummus.
Ooh, my goodness. I don't even know how to make a homemade pizza.
You'll have some left over?
Yeah.
There probably.
I'm only a couple of blocks away. I can beat you, Bruce. I love gyros. Of course, the first one we had was in a Greek fishing village down in Florida.
Well,
so yeah,
those were probably better than mine. The meat came from Sam's in the frozen section, so it's delicious, but it's not as delicious as that.
Yeah.
Y'all see my mug?
Oh, is today your birthday?
Tomorrow.
Well,
happy birthday.
Thanks. So I'm at the city with Rashay because I've got little kids, and there's no way I could accomplish this meeting with them in our tiny historic home. So I always come up here with the Zooms, and I just got this out of the cabinet in the city.
Yay! Good.
Happy birthday.
I'm picking this cup.
You're probably half my age today.
I'll be. I'm 34. Be 34 tomorrow.
Okay. Pretty close.
I didn't have any of my children by the time I was that age.
You didn't have any children?
I didn't have any children at 34.
Oh,
that sounds awesome.
Well,
but you have 3 now.
I also did have all 3 before I was 39. I mean, before I was 40. I was 39 on my last.
You're getting busy now after 34. You're getting busy.
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Manning.
Are we all here?
Beth is gone for some reason.
Beth, are you still listening?
Oh, there she is.
Okay.
Can't hear her though.
Oh, Beth, we've lost your audio, so we'll have to hold on to that.
Check the mic.
1 second. Okay. Really quickly, just for clarification, the only 2 we have left that besides Mr. and Mrs. Mattingly are Beth's, correct? Everything else has been tabled appropriately and we have everything else, correct?
Yes, I believe so.
I'm back.
Yep.
Yay!
I forgot to turn the time limits off for my children's tablet. They just get in apparently 2 hours. Jeez. Okay.
Not good. Okay, excellent. Okay, so Beth, just for clarification, I wanted to make sure. I'll double check everything, but the only 2 we have besides Mr. and Mrs. Mattingly is your 2, which we're going to do at the end, correct?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
Well, I might want to have a discussion. It could be an offline discussion. I just want to get a feeler on the lighting because we want to purchase it. So we can just have a discussion about it. We don't have to, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So that,
Okay. Excellent. Okay, so if everyone's back, Beth, are you ready? We could go ahead and start with
yes.
27. Yeah.
Install a new roof at 107 West Muir.
okay.
Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Mattingly, do you all want to talk about that real quick for us?
Yeah, we want to, right now it's got shingle roof on the house right now. I want to change it to metal.
standing seam, flat, standing. I think you've got some information, Rashay, kind of similar to
Yeah.
the roof look.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
I'm not sure on the color of black. I know y'all talked earlier about a matte finish, but I'm sure it's coming from music. So a Bruce should, whatever the color is, that's what we want to put on the house.
Did Bruce recuse himself? Do we need to have
Yeah.
that on record?
Yeah, and just thank you so much. Yeah, Bruce has recused himself, so I wanted to make sure that we stated that for the record. Thank you, Beth.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just
Um,
got the information through Busick's.
Okay, got
Okay,
it. Okay.
so
So
I
the
think that, sorry, go ahead.
The only thing I would require, so 16 inches seam to seam, about a one inch seam-ish, and that it be flat in between the seams is what
Yeah.
I'm requesting, with it being matte black and not a shiny black. Is there anything else that I have missed, board, for the requirements for that?
whatever finish he chooses, please have him bring it to you.
Yeah.
Um,
As long as it's a
because a lot
matte,
of,
we can just stipulate that it has to be a matte finish, and that's fine.
we've just seen several that they say is the matte finish, and then they have other finishes within the same price range that are actually more matte.
Okay,
that are
yes.
labeled as matte. That we preferred, so. But as long as it's okay, with you, once he has the exact color, if he could bring it to you, I would appreciate that.
Okay.
Is that something I can just give Bruce at Busick's, or is he totally out of the picture, or just because that's where it's coming from? Is that something he can, I don't know what
Yeah,
you're looking
so-
at as far as the matte finish. Is it just something I can tell Bruce, or Bruce showed me the black matte finish that's probably y'all going okay, and then let him handle it from there? Or do I need to bring that to Rashay?
Sure, he can email it to Rashay. I'm
Okay.
sure he wouldn't mind that. Right, Rashay? I'm sure that's fine.
I mean,
Yeah.
if he's willing to do that, that's fine. I can't speak for him. But if he emails that to me, that's perfectly okay.
Okay.
All right, do we have a motion for COA 20-67?
I will recommend approval of COA 20-67 with the following conditions. That there is, the standing seam roof has 16 inches between the seams, and then it's flat in between the seams, and that the color is staff approved by Rashay.
I will second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, moving on to COA 20-68 for gutters.
Okay, and I have a sample of the gutter right here. You all can't really see it, but I'm doing the best I can. So here is the gutter proposed.
Is that the proposed color or the?
Well,
That's the
profile.
style, yeah, profile.
style profile, whether I can go, we interested in the black color. If we have to use I'm okay going with the round half gutter if I can get it in black.
I'm okay with that.
Is black an okay color?
Well, let me take a look.
Well, and Rashay, on a Craftsman style, is the square more appropriate than the round?
Either have been used before, because we're talking 30s and 40s basically with this structure. So I've seen both be installed at this point.
Okay.
So either or could work with this one. But
It's got the small 4-inch gutter on it now. White,
Mm-hmm.
shaped just like that one, except that one there's 5-inch gutter.
more water.
Yeah, that looks better.
So I think that you can go back with either, right? I think you could do the half round, or you can do the round gutter, or you could do that profile if that's what's existing in the larger 5-inch size.
Well, I'll just go with that size there if it works, if that's okay with y'all.
My only question is, does it need to match the trim? Like, what color is the trim going to be? Does it have to match the trim? What are our rules there? I'm not finding. Because the profile's fine, half round, that, I think either one.
Sure. Yeah,
Right
Well, I
now.
think in my, just our opinion, we would be going with the black metal roof, that the black gutter would fit in with that. Bringing it on down to the gutter board was our thought of using the black gutter.
have we had, I'm trying to think if I've seen a black gutter before. Not that it's not okay.
Yeah, that, I know we've used a dark brown gutter before. I know we've used that one, and that's evident on Broadway. So
Right.
I'm looking at colors and what we can do there.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think the old Talbert house that they fixed up, I think that's got some black on it.
I think you're right.
Yeah, around the windows.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think the black gutter will look nice with,
I think
with the
with
roof
the brick.
Yeah.
and the brick. Yeah.
Okay. I'm
I know a
looking
lot
at,
of times, I know a lot of times we don't want that feature to stand out in a house,
Yeah,
but I think with this,
yeah, we don't want the gutters to become a focal point. We kind of want them to
Right.
be hidden. That's the main thing.
And
but I think
this-
they'll match the roof. They'll match the roof, and then they'll also kind of trim out the house. I think it'll look nice.
Okay.
Okay, do we have a motion for COA, or do we have any more questions? Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to recommend approval of COA 20-68 based on the findings that the gutters are consistent with the gutter standards set forth in section 4 of the Bardstown Historic District Design Review Manual.
Do we have a
Second.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on to COA 20-69. This is the driveway.
Okay, so they're proposing a stamped concrete driveway. The site plan has been approved by planning and zoning, as you all see attached. And then the stamped design is also evident in the application.
But we haven't approved one before. We have in fact not approved them before. They had to be approved.
Rashay, where is the ones that have been approved?
The
That in your notes.
stamped
Yeah.
the stamped concrete.
Yes.
So that was before, way before I got here. So in some cases where there is the parallel tracks, they have stamped a design in those. I believe there's one on Flagey, but that was years ago. And so the regulations have been updated again since that time period. And so basically, it says new concrete, this is SS 21, new concrete or brick driveways may be constructed with either a solid surface or with two parallel tracks, depending on the scale and size of the site as it relates to adjoining properties. So that is the main thing right there, the solid surface. And I believe the imprint, we have denied a stone imprint on several of these for a brick stamp. So I'm wanting consistency, folks. So however we want to decide to do that.
Yeah, in past, we've always talked about broom swept.
Yes, broom swept.
And not imprinted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is
And
there
then
any
if
way
the-
we could do it on this, just on the sides?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. You could, so I've seen driveways that have like a perimeter, like a border for the driveway, and that's stamped, but then the entire center of it does have its own
Solid.
finish. Yeah, and that looks really nice, like that. It gives it just a little bit of detail without being overwhelming, But again, so we've never approved, Rashay, stamped concrete, no. I know we had an application before, but it was very different. It was different than this. Okay.
Yeah, that one was denied.
Yeah, okay. So how do you all
so
feel about doing see how on that picture you've got the two the pattern that's running perpendicular to the rest of it, just kind of like on the perimeter.
I've seen that before.
I mean, if
What,
Go ahead.
if it was actual brick along the side and concrete middle?
that would be even better, but
That is not, that's fine.
But
Because the one on Broadway also, when she got denied the stamp concrete, she just went for a straight brick driveway. That's what she's putting back in. That matches the foundation on her house.
she hasn't done that yet.
Nope, but she's getting ready to.
I guess the only thing, you want a brick that would match the house, which I guess there's several colors of brick variations in that house. So you could have several to pick from.
But of course, that's so hard to set and keep.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's almost, it's difficult to.
I mean, if I do, I think the brick, if I can't stand it, which is fine, I think the edge of that trimmed out in the stamp and then bring the interior of it.
I mean, I'd rather go with actual brick on the outside and groomed in the middle, if that's something you would consider.
Yeah, I would, for a maintenance standpoint, for the longevity of it, you're just going to have an issue, just like Mike Nims on there, when you do a sand patio and water's got a way to drain out, water on brick put on top of concrete, there's too many of it where water gets in there in the wintertime, it freezes and busts, and it's not a good situation.
I would have to agree with them.
So we do have, like I said, the parallel tracks, and that's kind of considered a border, basically, not with the solid end of the screen. It has been stamped and approved before. If it's around the perimeter, I feel like that can be something that is considered. But I do not think the entire drive, we can't allow the entire drive.
I don't think we can either. We can't do the entire driveway, but
we could call it a border.
Yeah.
Tracks.
Yes.
With stamped center.
The board.
And with that.
I could be okay with that.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Can you talk about the color, please, Mr. Mattingly? What is it?
We want to go with a charcoal gray to blend in with the gutters and the roof is what because we plan on putting, which we will talk about later on the handrail on the front, try to those items blending in with what the rest of the stuff we're doing in the house.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Is that an okay color, Rashay? I mean, we're usually okay with anything that's natural-ish.
Yeah, I'm looking. I'm just double checking.
With it being a shade of gray.
Yeah, it's not like
it's
green.
not like a wild. Yeah, I've seen some pretty wild colored concrete.
It ain't gonna be no wild colors.
No magenta. No magenta.
No pink. No pinks. Okay.
Okay, good deal. Okay, so
Make
I will
that recommendation, please, Summer. Yeah.
Sure.
Now, while we're still all on that same deal, is that a 12-inch border, 16-inch border?
So I think, the two, as it's shown, right? The two brick wide.
That's probably 8. I'm gonna just say it's about 8 to 10 inches, depending on the brick. 4-inch brick, I'm assuming, and your joints. So we're looking probably like 8 inches.
I think that's fine.
Yeah.
And if it's any different than that, Rashay, can staff approve an alteration?
Yeah, if you feel a little uneasy about what you might just Rashay can staff approve that.
So you don't have to wait another month.
Yeah, okay. It'd only be the difference would be whatever their stamp comes in. I'm sure they've got a size that stamp comes in. I'll just have to get you that information. Okay.
Okay, do we have any other questions?
No.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to recommend approval of COA 20-69. My motion is based on the following findings. The driveway is consistent with the streets. Well, sorry, I guess I need to, okay. My motion is based on the following findings. The approval is this COA is approved under the condition that the stamped concrete is only stamped around the perimeter of the driveway and to be a maximum of two bricks wide. And that the overall stamp will be approved, staff approved by Rashay. And that the color of the concrete approved is the charcoal gray.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, guys, I
Excellent.
kind of
No, it's
butchered that
thank-
one.
That was actually excellent.
That might be pushing it.
All right. COA
70.
70, remove a side door.
Okay, and so part of this was to allow, and I want to make this sure, Sabra and Bill, this was to allow for the driveway to go to along the side of the house, correct?
Correct.
Okay, got it. So you're wanting to remove that door and that side porch completely?
Yes, and try and brick it back. If we, if we can get that to brick the door in. We lived in the house in 98. It went down to a base,
Yeah,
down and came up steps. The issue with it now on the inside, trying to figure out the inside of the house, but coming down the driveway, time we get our driveway in between the deck and the property line, it's so tight to go on back is one of the biggest reasons to get rid of it. And plus the door, if we can get rid of it or do something else with it, but we definitely want to move that deck off of it. I don't know if Saber gave you a picture of that, if we couldn't do.
yeah.
I need the charger for the tablet.
Yeah.
So I have a question. So I'm looking at the picture of the exit of when the house was at where 5-star is, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that picture, that side door is what we're discussing. Okay, because it
Yeah.
looks so, it looks like it's at ground level. And then in the picture, it's got steps and a little deck going to it. So it's
Well, yeah, I went down and studied the new location because that was throwing me off also.
Mhm.
And they have changed the door. They moved it. It's not its original placement.
No, and they've moved it up to be level with the floor and not the foundation where it was leading to a basement that no longer exists.
Okay. Because
okay.
It's all the way at the top of the windows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's nothing original about this opening. I'm very comfortable with them doing absolutely whatever they want to with it. Get rid of it, block it up, shutter it. I mean, there's nothing original with that opening. If it was the existing opening, or that we see on the picture of the original building, then I would have to have some consideration there. But I think this.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my feeling. And if Rashay, we have to indicate it's a door, then the shutters to me would be the way to do that.
I think I think bricking it in because it has been modified so extensively.
Yeah.
If you all are comfortable with that, we can absolutely allow it to be bricked in, matching the same brick, of course. So I'm okay with that if you all are. And that was part of my other portion of the argument is that the side, it has been altered, right?
Mhm.
It's not in its original location. Yes, the
No.
side door did exist originally, but that can be taken into consideration, the fact that it has been moved up quite a bit and is
And
no
it's-
longer
And
necessarily.
it's not even the same door.
No.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not
an
even
original
like
door.
no.
No.
And I
I
have
would
a good comfort
prefer-
feeling that that the work will be done appropriately. I have a good feeling about that. So,
Yes.
okay. All
Okay.
right. Let's see. Where am I?
So we're gonna brick it in. Brick it in. So we are gonna brick it in.
If that's what you want to do, sir, yes, sir, you can.
Yeah, that's what we're
Okay.
gonna do to
Okay.
match the existing brick on it.
Sounds
Awesome.
good. Then I'll make a motion to recommend the approval based on the finding that the door removal is consistent with the door standards set forth in Section 4 of the Bardstown Historic design review manual. And the matting lease will be bricking in the opening to match the corresponding new brick on the home.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, my tablet was dying. I had to move in the middle of all that, but I was paying attention.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, so we're on 20-71.
All right, this is to replace vinyl with vinyl.
71. Okay. Would you be interested in replacing it with something else by chance?
Well, we had talked about hardy board.
Yes.
The biggest issue I got with it, if you got a picture of the gable, you see the gable up above the vinyl.
Yes, sir.
That was never finished, and I'm assuming, and I don't know, I haven't looked at some of the other houses in town.
Mm-hmm.
If I go back with hardy, I don't know. One thing, when I take the vinyl, well, it was covered up anyway, so I really don't know what's there until I take it off anyway.
Yeah.
So, I'm at an unknown until what's under there might be good. I just don't know.
Sure.
The only issue I had, a lot of the wasp, if you look at all the cracks in the boards up above in the soffit, those soffits I see are, smoothed to keep that from happening. If I go back with wood or the hardy, I would like to finish that off too. It's hard to explain to you in a letter or, without maybe showing you, but if you look at the house or go down and look at the house, it's all the way around like that. And there's a lot of, it's just got big holes in it that we get a lot of wasps that go up in there, and there's nothing you can really do with it other than if it's fixed right. Cause some of the boards, if you see in that gable, that's some of them got ate up and kind of knocked off when the house got moved. So I am going to have to replace those. I'd like to just replace them and fix that soffit all at the same time to bring it all back to way. If the wood's good underneath, I'd like to use it, but I don't know what it is vinyl off. And
you won't know, of course, until you get underneath there, and you need to have options at that point, so you don't have to come back to us. I'm going to be honest, I don't mind it being hardy plank as long as it is smooth side out, like we always have to do for national standards because they make us do that one. I'm perfectly okay with that or wood.
Yeah,
we can't
approve vinyl.
Yeah.
Well, I understood, and I understand that. I think when we get further in around chimney, you'll understand why, what happened around the chimneys just shouldn't have been done the way it got done, but I gotta redo a lot of that because it wasn't done right when it was put back.
Yeah.
But we was wanting to do something with the vinyl anyway. Like I say, I just got an unknown here and I can't tell you what that is until I turn the vinyl off.
I think we can approve wood or hardy plank.
Yeah.
If there is wood under there that is salvageable, it'd be nice to go back with wood.
Hey guys, I want to ask a question. I don't know. We've talked a lot about Boral products, and they were making a siding product. I don't know if they have, if it's available. Bruce would know more about that, I think. But as far as the application for his soffit, would in the trim around the house, would that be an appropriate product to use?
Yes.
I am comfortable with that. I've voiced my opinion on Boral products for a long time. Summer, I think, we talked about that today. No,
Yeah.
Beth, I'm so sorry. It's been a crazy day, guys.
It was me.
But the standards actually for the Boral are for many coastal regions. They're already using it because of the salt and humidity. And I'm just comfortable with it being for things like that, not the entire house necessarily, but for some trim and aspects of that, I don't think it's an issue. And so I'm okay with that, absolutely. Just as long as it's smooth side out, not the fake wood grain texture, I'm totally okay with that as well.
So Mr. Magley, I guess essentially we're approving 3 different products for
Yep.
you to use. Just
I've
not,
used the
not the
board.
vinyl, please.
Yeah, I've used the bowl. Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to make, because, David met me down there at the house and we kind of went around it, but there's just a lot of issues. The board will be great on all the gables because they're
Mhm.
in bad shape.
Yes.
And to use up in there. And then if my wood is good underneath there, then I can finish off the soffit to make it a whole clean look all the way around the house.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Does that make you happy, Mr. and Mrs. Mattingly? Does those 3 choices give you a lot of?
Yes.
Way?
So the
Yeah.
boral is for any trim pieces, and then wood or hardy planks for the siding pieces.
Yes.
Is that what we're saying?
And
Okay.
then,
Well, they also make I think they make a siding in that boral. I mean, I don't know. Again,
They do, they're putting it on that, now, well, that was my next question. Is the siding in boral if you look at the vinyl, is it a 4-inch? Do you have to go with 4-inch
right.
yeah.
wide
So
on the
Well,
siding?
if it's
Depends
different
on-
underneath,
Yeah, go with what's underneath. What would be original to the house?
Right, first, if that's good, we'll go with that, and then I know they make boral in 4, 6, 8 inches wide. If we go the boral, is it gonna be the 4-inch? You need to stay with the way it's shown in the picture, that the width.
unless underneath it gives you, if you have original wood siding, for instance, underneath that, and you cannot salvage it, but it's a little wider, say it's not 4 inches, you
Right.
can go with what's underneath there that was original. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if there's
Right.
not, I would recommend that it go the same size vinyl or right at that. The
Okay.
smaller pieces were more traditional around that time period. Smaller,
Okay.
the thicker pieces of siding came along a little bit later.
Yeah. Okay.
Along with asbestos and kind of siding of that nature. And I'm losing my voice. I'm sorry, I've been sick. So I knew it was gonna happen. Dang it, I knew I was gonna lose my voice. If you find something underneath there that's a little bigger, and even if you can't use the wood, if you want to use that size, just come to me and we can definitely work something out.
Okay.
But that would be even more true to original than that. But if you can't, we'll keep it around the 4 inches of the vinyl, if that's okay. And does the
Okay.
board agree with me on that one?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, do we have a motion for COA 20-71?
Yep.
We are approving the boral for use for siding.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to verify. Okay, I will make the motion to recommend approval of COA 20-71. My motion is based on the following findings. The material that we are approving to be used for replacement of the vinyl siding, potential replacement, will be a wood product, a hardy board, or boral product. And that is consistent with section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Second,
I will second that motion.
all in favor? Aye. Okay, moving on to COA 20-72.
Trees.
Okay, so the only question I had, Mr. and Mrs. Mattingly, on this one, as I start to lose my voice again, I'm sorry, guys, is just around the trees. And I know you want to clean up that lot, and that's totally okay. We kind of need an idea of how many trees that you're wanting to remove and where those are located at. So if you could explain that, that would be amazing for us. Pretty please.
Well, really at this point, we'll come back to you. Our main goal right now is to clean up the trash around the fence lines.
That's fine.
And
I mean, it looks,
there's a brush pile in the back that's a lot of dead trees all laying there, and we want to get that cleaned up and moved out.
I mean, it looks like there's a lot of honeysuckle, and we don't have any problem with you getting rid
Yeah,
of
there's
any
a
of
bunch of that in the
honeysuckle.
fence rows and between the trees, and they're growing up in the trees.
That's fine. And basically, if it's small growth trees that are like, I'm trying to like this big, you know what I'm saying? They're not full size trunks.
Right.
That's something you
they're
can.
not.
Yeah,
three
and you
inch or something, like 3 inch in diameter or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's okay to remove whatsoever. If it's a big, big tree, that's what we have to plant back, if that makes sense.
Yes.
I'm gonna let my board talk from now for a little bit. Yeah, so go board, in explaining that.
It looks like a lot of these are possibly volunteer, like weed trees, and we're okay with those going.
Yeah.
But anything that is a larger tree, or obviously, like, it looks like something back here might be a dogwood, or, might be an actual decorative tree. If those come down, they have to be replaced.
One of our concerns was, which we do have, like I say, we got to clean up anyway, and you might have that picture right here.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
We've got that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm afraid, I know that's one of the trees that need to come down, but I just want to get it cleaned up first, and then I can come back to that. But I'm afraid the elevation between that property and this property, if the tree comes down or that starts to give, the trailers that's theirs possibly could come down from where it's at originally. I just want y'all to be aware of that. But for right now, we're just going to clean up and then visit this later. A few trees that do need to come down.
Well, and if you want to go ahead and get permission for that one, we're okay with that too.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
It's coming down.
Because it does definitely need it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I feel very comfortable and board. I know, I mean, that one is in really bad shape and it does need to come down.
Okay.
There's a whole bunch of trees, so yeah.
Yes.
So
that's big lot.
if you remove that one, you are allowed to plant one back. Do you know what kind of tree it is?
I don't. It's a rotten. I don't know if there's much. I don't really know what it is.
There are a bunch of
honeysuckles growed in it, and the limbs falling off of for a pretty good while. So I'd have to find out what it is.
Looking at the bark, it looks kind of like a locust, but
yeah,
you might be right. There's several locusts in that area, around the perimeter of the house.
Well, and then of course, considering going on to the next property, I would also be comfortable if they wanted to plant back something so much smaller, like a red bud or something somewhere more decorative in another location. That doesn't bother me at all with giving this, because you don't want to plant something giant right on the property line. No one's gonna
that. And what you take down doesn't have to go back in the same exact spot.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be the same kind of tree.
Yeah, sometimes trees were planted long ago and they get much larger than what people anticipate. And we have allowed trees that were encroaching in different areas around structures or foundations to come down and not go back because of those issues. So if you're okay with just choosing a tree to go back at some point on that, that can be staff approved as well, where you want it and what kind, that's fine.
Okay. Once we remove the trash pile in the back and stuff, we got some low spots in the backyard and stuff for bringing dirt in and filling all that back in level, because it leads down in there and goes over to those trees that's all laying in a brush pile back there. Is that okay to bring dirt in and fill in, bring it to grade?
Yes, sir. Fine.
Okay.
That's not a problem.
All right.
That's it.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Yeah.
Okay, I will make a motion to recommend approval of COA 2072. My motion's based on the findings that the tree removal and replacement is consistent with the landscaping standards set forth in Section 4 of the Bardstown Historic District Design Review Manual.
Second.
And if a replacement tree is decided upon, that can be staff approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Okay,
moving on
73.
to 73. Shows handrails. Oops.
So I wanted to ask real quick, I know you've got part of the railing off of that porch. Are you all putting that back on that side, or what is kind of going on that side railing right there?
Well, we had to take that off. We had a ramp built over to the dumpster because we done gutted the inside of the house is gutted.
Okay.
It's all gone. We would like to replace that rail, the railing that you see now. And I think you've got a picture. This is what we want to put up.
Yeah. Okay, that's
Okay,
what,
so
good.
it's-
That one is actually the design that I was hoping you would pick. Yeah,
Can you hold,
gonna
can
say
you
that
hold
is-
that up again a little higher?
yeah, that
That's
one.
not
That's
overly
perfect.
dissimilar from what's
Yeah.
there, and it's,
I like the simplicity of it. I think it
Very
went
nice.
with the house real well.
Oh, yeah.
That's
I'm really happy
perfect.
with that one.
That's
Yeah,
great.
I think it'll help the front porch out with that design and the curve at the end of it.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So you're proposing not just the handrails, but all the railing around that house? Okay,
Yes, on front
Okay.
porch, yes.
got it. Okay, so I'm okay with that design board if you are. And it's iron, correct?
Correct.
And that's okay. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Okay.
okay. Do we have any other questions?
No, man.
No.
I would just appreciate whoever does the motion to indicate that, I don't know how, indicate the picture on page 14 is what we're approving.
Yes.
Picture on page 14.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. I
Yep.
didn't know. Let me get there. I want to make sure it's. Oh, okay. Perfect. Okay.
Because there were
14.
several in there.
Yes, I understand. Okay. I will make the motion to recommend approval of COA 20-73. My motion is based on the following findings: that picture 14 in the submission is the approved railing, and it is consistent with the porches, steps, and stairs standards set forth in section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
And I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, COA 20-74 chimney cap.
Yes, when the chimney got put back, it doesn't have a flue or anything in it. What they done, they capped it off flat at the top. So the issue is going to be when water lays up there in the wintertime, it's just going to soak the mortar joints and it's just going to start popping the brick.
Mhm.
In the old picture, it shows a chimney cap on
True.
that
Yeah.
picture, and I'd like to put it back. I put a cap on it for the maintenance of it in the future and to protect, the brick underneath of that top, being under the top,
Okay,
out of it.
that seems all very reasonable. Does anybody have any questions? Or do we have a design, something similar to what was there before?
It is almost identical to what is there before.
Okay,
So
great.
they're what,
Perfect.
but what, just basically back there before. Yes.
Yeah, just, and I don't know the measurements yet till I get up on top, but in my thinking, I was trying to get like maybe a sandstone that's gonna match the mortar color. And I don't know what I can get, standard, because I don't, if it's gonna stick out 2 inches past the chimney all the way around, or 1.5 inches until I get looking to see what I can find, or I might have to get something made to put up there on top of it.
Okay,
Had you thought about a metal cap?
Well, I've seen metal ones before too, and you could, but I just like to stay with the picture and have that stone look up there on top the cap,
Okay,
if I can.
yeah,
okay. Do we have any other questions?
No questions.
no.
Do we have a motion?
So I can make a motion to recommend approval of COA 2074. My motion based on the findings that the chimney cap installation is consistent with chimney standards set forth in section 4 of the Bardstown Historic District Design Review Manual.
Do we have
Second.
a second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then moving on to COA 20-76 requests, oh, I'm sorry,
No,
75,
Yeah.
the request to paint the brick. Honestly, you guys, the biggest thing about this house was when we moved it was the pattern of the brick. And I don't think that, we don't allow historic homes that haven't been painted before to be painted, typically.
Yes, and I want to add something to Mr. and Mrs. Mattingly because I was out sick and she had sent me some requests of questions in other historic districts in the home that have potentially been painted. And so I just kind of want to do a brief kind of as much explanation as I can. I haven't been able to research those and I knew I wouldn't have time before the meeting is.
Right, you said you wouldn't.
Yeah, but so basically just to give an explanation to the best of my ability without being able to pull those files. So the guidelines changed, the federal guidelines for brick and brick preservation have changed over time. And so the most recent, because too many historic bricks were just being painted over instead of having maintenance done to it, there was a stipulation that historic bricks should no longer be painted. I know that was prior to 2008. I don't know exactly what year that federal standard came out, but I know it has been since 2008 at least. So given that information, I like to, David Hall, if he was here, he would laugh about it, if he would talk about it. But before zoning happened, before we got our historic district, he liked to say you could not find a contractor within a 4-county radius of Bardstown because everybody was throwing on vinyl siding. Everybody was replacing windows. It was a madhouse because people were making super quick alterations before the zoning passed. And so a lot of the things that happened that we're now, like the vinyl siding that now needs to be replaced 20 years later, we can't necessarily allow with the federal guidelines, but it was done before the guidelines were in place. So some of those structures may have been painted before and they have been sandblasted off. I know that has happened in some cases. That happened in another district in which I was familiar with, not this city, but another one. And then of course, if you sandblast historic brick, and if you overdo it, it becomes, in the integrity of it's compromised, right? It becomes softer. And so then the only way to save it is to paint it back. And so I feel like there's explanations. One, it was done before the guidelines were in place. Or two, there was some sort of issue with the integrity of the brick that would allow it not to be painted anymore. So they had to paint it in order to have something to stabilize that outer structure of that, to seal it. So those are the two things that I can best give you an example, but I promise you, I will look into every address you gave me as soon as I possibly can, and I will get you some explanations for that, okay?
That's fine.
Yeah, and reason the issue came up is the quality of the work that was done on the house.
Yes.
The pattern, we were fine with the brick until the chimney got replaced the second time, and then the pattern and the brick it's not matching the house, and that shows up. And then the pillars on the front of the porch has got there's 3 different mortars that got used in laying the brick. And, when you get up to the house, first thing, which I build, so I notice it right off as soon as I walk up, but this mortar's darker and that one's lighter, and then we got a different color here on the side of the house. And that's the reason it came up about painting the brick. But I like the brick. I don't want to maintenance it either, because brick, you don't have to do a whole lot to it, but we're putting a lot of money in the house, and we just want everything to
look nice
and everything else. And I just hate, I got 3 different colored mortars, and my chimney don't match the rest of the pattern of the house. And and the shade is just they got some different shade of brick when they done it the second time, and it just doesn't look right. But that's, that can't do nothing about it, but it's done is done.
I know.
Mr. Mattingly, so I own a home in the historic district, and we had, it's a brick home, and I think instead of mortar, they use like concrete on some of the brickwork, and it was horrendous, and a lot of it got on the brick. So I know, so far I've had the front elevation, the side, and the back retuck pointed using the historic, like the the brown mortar, you know, the historic colored old colonial mortar. So I have a contact for you, and we've only done 3 sides because that's all we could approve. That's all we could afford right now. So we have one more side to go, and it's the longest length of the house. But anyways, I have a contact for you if you're interested with that. They do a
Well,
really great
I
job.
know that's gonna be pretty expensive. to do the whole
It is
house.
pretty expensive.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Just, yeah.
Rashay, this is a question for you.
Yes.
Could we, and this is, I don't know if this is totally against the rules or not, could we compromise and let him paint the column bases on the front porch white?
Oh, because that mortar color is so different.
But
that-
not the rest of the house, just that small piece.
They do stand out.
That is a very good question. And that is, we're not supposed to paint brick that's never been painted. But he is right. And this is something that I and the previous owners argued about quite extensively on many different was the quality of what occurred and how unhappy I was with that. So I would, as a compromise, I feel that could be something that could be done, given the poor ability of what was brought back to it versus what it was. The 2 columns in the front, I feel, yeah, that could be something we could do if they would want that.
That's a
Is
great
that
idea, Beth.
something?
That's
Is
one
that
of the
some-
worst spots on the house. Is
Well,
those-
I mean, just looking at the picture, it does stand out quite a bit. And I live down the street from this house, so I look at it a lot, and I've noticed that as well. You know, the chimney is at the side, and I can't say, oh yes, paint the chimney too, but those 2 small columns, I feel like we could compromise on.
I'm comfortable with that, given the situation and how they were rebuilt and
And
how
if-
poorly that was done.
And if they were painted white, you know, they would match the rest of the column.
What do you guys think about that, Mr. and Mrs. Mattingly?
No,
Does
that's
that?
fine, 'cause it's the worst spot of the 3 different mortars, those 2 right there. I mean, it definitely shows it there, and you can see it in the
It
picture.
really does.
Yeah.
Stands out from the rest of the house.
Yes. So would you like to paint that? Would that be something we could give you
Yes.
permission on with that one? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'm comfortable with that, guys. I want to help them as much as I can. So I completely, I'm okay with that.
Great
Yeah,
idea, Beth.
leave the brick and the pattern. There's no pattern in the columns. They're too small to
No.
have a pattern
No.
anyway. And the
Yeah.
pattern is what we want to save.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I feel like those columns are just so poorly done that paint could remedy most of the issue.
I'm comfortable with that.
Awesome. Okay. Any other questions or concerns?
On the board came up to the chimney.
Okay,
You
I
asked me
will.
something, Shay?
Sorry, do we have a motion?
I will make the motion to recommend approval of COA 20-75. My motion is based on the following findings. The only brick in which we are allowing to be painted are the brick columns on the porch of the home. And although it's not consistent with the design review manual, we are making an exception due to the poor quality of the rebuild. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I guess to say that painted white, I mean, I guess we should.
Okay,
include
and
that.
we would like for the brick to be painted the same color as the column above, a white
Correct.
and white. Okay.
Okay, do we have a
I will
second?
second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. See, we're not that scary. We do try to compromise.
Yeah, appreciate it. I mean,
We just never did this, ever.
There's a lot to
Okay.
do.
And then I got sick and I couldn't explain half of it to you, so that didn't help either. So I completely understand it. I'm sorry. I kind of was like, I'll answer all of your questions, and then I was gone for a week because I was out sick. So that didn't
You're
help.
still not real good, are you?
No, yeah. So we're getting there. It's a double sinus infection. It's a sinus infection and double ear infection. So I'm getting there. I'm
You're
getting
getting there.
more normal, but not yet.
And I kept bothering you. Here you are sick.
You never bothered.
All
me.
right.
Absolutely not. No.
we're moving
Okay.
on to COA 20-76.
Yeah.
Request to
Oh,
replace the windows.
There's some cute windows on that house.
Yeah,
Yeah, 6/1.
They are cute.
I've never
Yeah, they
seen
are.
that before. And the 2 6s next to the chimney, on either side of the chimney.
Yeah, they make my heart so happy. Lord, they do.
I like those.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, in the historic district, we basically, you have to repair.
Mhm.
And like, if you wanted to have those
Storm.
repaired and then replace the storms with something not quite so terrible looking.
Yeah, the storms are pretty bad.
Well, that's what
Yeah.
we talked about. If we couldn't replace the windows, which we knew about where we stood on that. Issue was, what about, we would like to use the black face trim on the storm windows to blend in with the metal and the wrought iron and the driveway.
Absolutely.
Most definitely. Yep, love it.
Absolutely.
That's what we
Now,
want to
and
do.
I will say this, Mr. Maddox, I'm losing my voice again. I'm so sorry. I'm going to squeak this out. If you do come across with Demir, if there is something that shifted in that with these windows, so for the most part, we really want them to be repaired. But if you come across something that is beyond because of the moving that shifted and the sashes can't be saved, let me take a look at it. And if that has to be replaced, then we would need it to be rebuilt, just like Demir is doing, that absolutely matches what's there.
Right. Okay.
But if you run across that when looking at these, that is something that you can't bring to me.
Okay, fair enough.
So what I would say is right now, let the windows be repaired, but let the storm windows be replaced with a solid glass panel with a black trim, if you guys are okay with it.
Yep, that's what we'd like to do.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so you have to, I think the whatever you replace the storms with can go through Richey.
Yeah.
And if you can just get her the color that matches your or your gutters and whatnot, so she can have that on record.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's staff approval.
Do we
You
have
won't
a
have to
motion?
come back.
Yeah. So I make a motion to recommend the approval of COA 20-76. My motion's based on the following, excuse me.
We have to deny
We
this
have to deny
COA,
it because, we're denying it.
right? But we're within the condition is that
I would now say approve, we can change it, that we are going to approve storm windows, that we're going to approve 20-76 with the condition that only the storm windows be replaced with a splat trim to be staff approved. So we're
And
literally going to change that COA.
The actual windows will be repaired and the storms replaced.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's what we can say that.
Yeah.
As a condition.
Sorry about that.
I'm getting so tired.
We're almost-
Hold on.
Don't leave us, Summer. We're so close.
Oh,
So are we using the wording that came out of Richey, or do I need to hit that again?
I think I like the wording Richey used. We are, so it's approved, but it's
With
a
the
replacement of the storm windows with black trim. And then the original windows will be repaired.
Good. I'll second that.
Okay.
Got it.
Got it, Beth?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think we're slap happy.
Yeah.
All right, COA 20-78, new lights, which is in a weird order. I keep pressing the button and closing this app on accident.
Mhm.
Yeah.
78? Okay, where is it?
It's close. It's like down by 67.
Okay.
So the square lights were a little bit modern for the 30-ish, but I did love this one. Like loved that one.
Yeah, I like that one.
And this one also very similar. Totally okay with that one. I think that the square one was just a little bit more modern then that time period, then we can necessarily, oh yeah, of course, but there's that one is basically the same thing. So
Mhm.
either one of those are okay with me.
Any
The
of
square-
those three?
Frank Lloyd Wright would disagree.
Any
Oh,
of these
yes,
three,
yes,
okay?
you would. Oh, what, I'm
Yes, you
sorry.
would.
Was it any of these three?
Any of-
Yeah, it's in your
Okay.
application.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or 15.
Yeah, so on page 11.
Yeah, the square one is not. You're right.
Okay, I threw that one away.
Yeah, so,
Well, that was convenient.
yeah.
I'm kidding.
Well, I want to make sure I keep my right stuff.
Yeah, so that, and Miss Mattingly, like that one's okay. That one's
Okay.
on page 11. My voice
Well,
is
all of
going.
them really, but the square one, right?
Yeah.
All of it, the square one.
Yeah.
So anything but 12. Anything but page 12.
Yeah, there we go. That works.
All right, let's see. I will make the motion to recommend approval of COA 20-78. My motion is based on the following findings. The lighting is consistent.
We got one.
The lighting is approved with the exception of the square light. And then the approved lighting is consistent with the lighting standards set forth in section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Yeah.
I
Second,
second that.
all in favor? Aye.
Really, everything got approved except for.
All right, last
And
one.
last one, and it's the sweetest one. We literally want this to happen. Please
Yes.
bury the electrical lines.
Woo!
It's in the guidelines to please do it, so.
Well, you know,
Yeah,
I
we
went
can-
over there
let's-
the other
let's
night,
make
and the
a motion.
cable wire's already been knocked down. Somebody, I guess, come through there and knocked the cable wire down.
Don't you? Yeah, I definitely. So I've got my electrician waiting for me to give him the okay to go on and get it underground.
Yeah.
So
Let's go ahead and make a motion for this,
I
guys.
will make a motion to recommend approval of COA 20-79 based on the findings that the burial of the electrical lines is consistent with the standards set forth in section 4 of the Bardstown Historic District Design Review Manual.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. Okay. So Mr. and Mrs. Mattingly, happiness. I hope that we have all come, and if you have any other questions, I will let you know about that. If you just email me and I will help you in any way I can. Technically, everything that's approved in the historic district has to have one more week to wait. City council meets next Tuesday and has to give final approval per city ordinance on everything that HRB applies for. So you've got one more week to get approval, and then I will, once they approve it, I have your approval letter ready and your certificate of appropriateness that actually is signed by the city clerk with all the conditions that we've set forth tonight. And I can mail that to you, and I can mail that to you by next Wednesday. So once you get that information, you can go forward meeting those requirements and those conditions set forth on that piece of paper, okay?
Great.
Good.
Thank you. Can't
Thank
can't
you.
wait. Can't wait till y'all buy the next piece of property in the historic district. See you soon.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
All right, is Bruce still here?
Bruce is still here. All right, let's do this thing.
Okay, I'm recusing myself from COA 2048 and 2049.
Okay.
It's not gonna be next when you have to wait 2 hours for a meeting.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Johnny, can you mute that? Thanks.
Oh, it's funny.
All right, Beth has recused herself. Okay, so let me pull that up.
and does
Okay.
Bruce have to like unrecuse himself? How does
Yeah,
that
Bruce,
even
come on
work?
back.
I'm back.
Come back,
Yay.
Bruce.
Got it.
Okay, I think the first one is landscaping. No,
Yes.
48. Okay.
Yes.
There are a couple of trees in my front yard. One is just horrifyingly dead. Like if you look at the picture on the front page, there's this
Yeah.
nice little holly tree. It's so sweet. It ain't look like that no more.
It looks bad.
And you know it's too tall to trim.
Which is the cherry, the one in front of it?
Yes, the cherry is dying. You can see someone cut back a branch before we moved in, and it literally just killed it. The bark is all coming off, and branches are just falling off of it all the time. And my kids want to swing from them, and I'm like, no, don't do that. You're going to kill yourself.
Yeah.
So the one tree is super dead and the other tree is super close to the house.
And just too big.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't know exactly, like, I think I'd like to go back with the cherry where the cherry is. I don't know what I want to go back with where that holly tree is. Maybe just a bush, if that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know. Is that?
If I could go back with a bush, or if I can find one, I haven't been able to find them. There are some magnolias that are more bush-like and kind of upright, but I haven't found one that would be small enough for that space. It's not, it's a deciduous magnolia.
Yeah, it's a pretty.
We had a star magnolia that was that size, the smaller size.
It was either a star magnolia or a lily magnolia is what I was thinking.
Okay.
And I just don't know, maybe even something small like what are those little bitty evergreen trees that are triangular shaped?
Norwegian spruce?
I
And
can't
a pine
remember.
tree?
No, not a pine tree.
Oh,
but is it okay with what I go back with, what we decide to go back with, that be staff approved?
I would love to do that.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yay.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I will make the motion to recommend approval of COA 20-48 with following conditions: that the trees that are replanted in place of the trees that are being removed be staff approved. And it is consistent with the landscape standard set forth in section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
And I will second that motion.
I said that.
Oh,
so
Pat, you're supposed to be in charge. I was getting ready to do those things.
Oh.
Like, I can't do that. I can't do that. Okay.
So
All in favor?
do I have a second? Yes, all in favor.
Aye.
I second and I.
Good. I like it. Very good. Okay, so let us move on to 49.
Now, what my drawing shows is we were going to put a concrete pad and then put in this little temporary pool, but we're not doing the concrete pad because we don't have that much money.
Okay.
And we just want to put in one of these blobby pools for like through September. And then it comes down, and I'm asking for approval for 2 summers.
Okay.
And like a temperature time, like not a date necessarily, but a temperature for when we can take it.
what does, I think we say, if we say by the end of 2021, right? I mean, we could.
It's not gonna
stay up in October.
It's not gonna even be up over the winter. It's gonna come down for the winter.
Yes.
Okay.
And basically,
you have a privacy fence, Beth?
Well, we weren't allowed to have a privacy fence on part of it. Part of it is a 42 inch because the rules were different when we put up our fence.
Okay.
So there's about a 10-foot span where you can see this thing. And it's on my driveway, so I can't like plant things in front of it.
So because she's a corner lot, it was 4.5 feet that was visible from that side portion. So that had to be, it had to be brought down to under 4.5 feet for visibility on a corner lot. So that's the area that it's seen from.
Oh.
Which is her driveway.
What's a rule about a pool that she couldn't put a pool in without going through us? It's just a stationary.
Well, that was the other thing I wanted to say, specifically during the pandemic when the city pool is closed. I think we should just let these go during the pandemic. I mean,
well
I'm asking what rule is there against them?
Sorry, Rashay.
What rule is there against them?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, where does it state that we have to submit for a pool?
In the guidelines. So
does it really?
Yeah. So, but I'll go further than that. So it states that, let's do this. Pools must be installed where they are not visible from a public way and must be screened by trees or shrubs at the time of planting, not only when the plants are at maturity. So because of that issue in the screening, but because this is a temporary, not a long-term pool, those had to be considered. And because she's a board member, the mayor I talked to the mayor to ask if I could staff approve or what I needed to do. And he said, absolutely not. All of these would have to come through the board.
Okay, because it just looks like a regular pool, anybody would throw in their backyard type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and the city, as Beth had said, the city pool is closed. And, we don't know what is going to happen with COVID-19 for the next one. So if it's for 2 summers, you know, that's just what you all need to discuss. But that's why, unfortunately, that criterion, and then the mayor asking that it come through the board for approval on those.
Okay, so the board and the city council. So, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so the only issue, potential issue, is that there's a 10-foot space in your fence where it's seen from public view, right?
Yes.
And that's where you
Yeah,
drive, and that's your
on Muir.
driveway.
That's my driveway, yes.
Okay, well,
Well, and the other, one thing we were considering is like getting those umbrellas that can like tilt. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right.
To sort of A, give a shade, and 2, we could kind of use them as a screen.
well, I don't know if you'd be interested in using, instead of planting those trees back, you know, could you put some sort of like those trees you're talking about? I don't know how it's laid out, but for that privacy, does it not, it might not lay out that way
It would be literally just right in the middle of our
of
gravel driveway.
everything. Okay, never mind. I hear you. Okay, well, I'm not going to deny a pool. I'm not going to deny anything for a kid. I don't, you know, being able to have a good summer. That's my stance on that in general.
And if we have to make an exception because you can't block the driveway.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's the main thing right there. That's the only, that would be the only exception. But yeah.
Bruce, what do you think? Since the fence is low for the corner. Do you have? Yeah.
No, I think that there's a lot of consideration with what you all have stated for sure.
Okay.
Well, she can't, yeah.
Oh, she can't say anything. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'll try and keep my van parked in front of it.
No, don't go there. Oh, shoot. Is anyone have any more questions?
No, ma'am.
How about anyone ready to make a recommendation? A motion? Bruce, your turn.
I make a motion to recommend approval of COA 20-49. My motion is based on the following findings. The pool is consistent with the landscape standards set forth in section 4 of Bardstown Historic.
Well, you should probably say it isn't, but we're making an exception.
Well,
it's really close.
It says, to me, it says install pool. This is a pool you can move around the yard. I don't think it's anything you're installing. It's a.
Yeah.
I had to level.
I don't understand.
I had to make a
pool
level
thing.
spot.
All
It felt like work.
Yeah.
Well, I will say we don't want every single house to have an above ground pool hanging out in the backyard with no fencing. Right. So if you think about it from like an extreme measure, right? Extreme measure versus what we have here.
But it's some above ground pools have to be leveled and they are installed because you're not going to just drain them and move them. This is a pool that's very temporary. You can move it all over the yard, I would think, but unless I'm looking at the size wrong. But
well, not when it's filled up with water. You can't move it.
No.
Yes, but I could
quickly.
I could empty this.
You can't move an above ground pool that's very large.
I can empty this and fold it up and put it in my basement. So it's
That's what I'm saying. It's like a little kid. I mean, it's bigger than somebody's standard. Go to Walmart, get a plastic pool and throw it in their backyard. Is what I'm getting at. Just a bigger version of that, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm seconding the approval of whatever that was.
That was my rant.
Rashay, I don't want to be a terrible acting chair. Rashay, do you have enough verbiage to get this down correctly?
Yes, I've got it. I think I've got it. I was writing it down as we were speaking with that.
I feel so bad for you to have to re-listen to all this.
Exceptions for mobile pools.
Yeah. Everybody, I forget what the phrase is.
It's okay. So you have a
Is
second
everybody in?
summer, and everybody consensus, say aye.
Aye.
Everybody, great. Okay, motion carried.
Goodness gracious.
Thank you all, because I was putting that pool up anyway, and I was going to have to be like, I can't be the chairman of the board because I can't just flaunt the rules.
You're not getting out that easy, girl.
Okay,
And seriously,
so,
I don't think, I think if the public pool is open, did we say for 2 summers? Because I don't think I
We
can
didn't
take my,
say that in, but
And
with-
for 2 summers, there I think.
yeah, because I don't think I can take my heart condition baby out probably even next summer. So
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
so we don't have any old business. The new business that we have is Bruce is going to be leaving us,
Oh.
and we're gonna
Oh,
miss him very much.
when?
Whenever
So-
she finds somebody, I'm just hard to be a good board member when you can't sit in on half of them.
Yeah.
You know, that's part of the problem. So I don't really think I'm really helping you all in that standard. But like I've told her, when I go to retire, I think I really would enjoy doing this. So
Yeah.
So, and I'm holding you to that. I'm holding you 100% to that because I'm bringing you back. So
Okay.
that
Can we-
is, that's going down in stone and it's officially recorded, and it's also going to go in the minutes, by the way. So it's going to be bolded, highlighted, and underlined in the minutes. So you better be waiting, my friend.
I will be.
Okay, so the reason I bring that up is to say we're gonna miss him, but until we can find a replacement, he's actually he's been very humble throughout this entire process about helping us get through COVID-19 and the issues. But Beth, I know you always say this, like I don't know anyone else. But if other board members could send me suggestions within the next couple of days, I have to turn those into the mayor. So that he can make a decision on who he's going to appoint. So please do consider sending me 2 to 3 examples, if you can, of people that you would like to see on the board so that I can turn that over to him, pretty please. And Bruce, that includes yourself. You have to make suggestions too.
I will come up with somebody.
Good. Okay. Excellent. And we've tabled the rest summer. I'm sorry that you
Okay.
were going through, but I really am sorry about that. Is
No,
there
it's-
anything else?
She
There
did
was-
ask about,
The lighting, can we just
Oh,
look at
the
that
lighting.
real quick? We don't have to we can do it off the books, or I don't know how you say that, but I just want to
I
get,
think we're-
Per HRB regs, we have to be really careful about this.
yeah, we're
and
not
what we
allowed.
Discuss, I wanted to say that we can discuss without regs. So we
can
really
we
can't hardly
adjourn,
discuss-
can we adjourn the meeting and then?
No, because it has to
Okay.
all be like public,
Yeah.
on
Okay,
the public
okay.
record.
Public record.
Um,
So the
Really
reason
can't.
I want us to look at it is because I need to rough in the electric for the lighting. Right, because currently starting tomorrow, the blue stone will be starting to be installed around the base of the building. And then a few weeks later, we'll have the limestone cap. And then right after that, then the brickwork starts. So I have to have this lighting roughed in, and the type of lighting we go with is going to determine how many lights we end up installing. So like the type of lighting that we have suggested using, it's a round linear light. It gives lighting off on the top and the bottom. We would use that on every column if that lighting was approved. If it wasn't approved and we had to use a lantern style light that doesn't give the same effect that we wanted originally, we would put minimal lighting in that alley and probably do every 2 or 3 columns just to have lights there, because we don't, just to illuminate the area, not so the rough-in of that junction box for the exterior lighting is going to make a difference.
I think I my stance on this, unfortunately, I have to fight that. I feel the lights are way more modern, and a very similar light was proposed by another applicant, and that was denied for staff approval. I would not let it come to you all because it was staff approved, right? So I had the final decision. I would not allow that type of light. So unfortunately, that's my final stance on that one.
Okay, guys, y'all think it's too modern?
yeah, I mean, I wish there was something that was appropriate that shined up and down like that, because I like that look.
That effect? Yeah, I think it looks pretty
But
cool.
the actual light. It's
So
just
if we did have a lantern style light that somehow we could modify.
That is something that you could absolutely.
I mean, I think it might look kind of funny, like an ET light. I don't know.
that's
Put a
something
puck.
that's something that's.
I mean,
actually
do you
looking-
have any lighting designers? Because I mean, that's something. I only know ones in Georgia. I don't know anybody here.
Yeah, so our
How about
designers
something
are,
like this?
we got the gas lights.
Yeah,
So we have 3 gas lanterns on, so we have one on the front above the front door and we have 2 on the posts of like the gated area. This is like in the alley beside Kentucky, between the building and Kentucky Owl. It was really meant just to have, like effect lighting.
It's to
really-
light the building, not to light.
Right, and and so we installed all those, we're putting all those brick columns that kind of extrude out. They're like faux column, but they do extrude out. But anyways, we wanted to showcase that. But if I have time, I'll resubmit next month. And if I don't have time, we'll do a different lighting that
Okay.
I'll staff approve with you, Rashay.
Okay.
Okay, cool. All right, guys, that's all.
Very good. Everybody.
So do we? Yeah, we have a motion to adjourn, guys.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Excellent.
I will
I like the
second.
dog,
Second.
Bruce.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Excellent, guys. Thank